Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. Landon Schmidt producing. We're with you for the next 3 hours. A lot to get into. Tigers, they were in action last night. A win over Wichita State, 61-53. We'll talk a lot about that in this opening segment as well at 5 o'clock with Jason Munz. The Grizzlies are back in action tonight at home against the New Orleans Pelicans, but two big-time players, both questionable for tonight's game, so we'll talk a lot about that. We got to talk about the NFL slate for the weekend as two teams will punch their tickets to the Super Bowl, so a lot to get to over these next 3 hours. Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing great, my friend. Great to be with you and Landon with our listeners on this Friday. And all the NFL jobs except for two now.
Yeah.
Completed.
Yeah, Pete Carroll.
I say great.
I think a really good hire for the Raiders.
The Raiders have hired a lot worse, last year hiring Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, it felt like, and we were talking about this off air, the Antonio Pierce hire was kind of that, off the board, go former player, doesn't have head coaching experience, let's just take a swing at it. It doesn't work at all. And then you go, okay, we need to go with somebody that we feel very comfortable, kind of that comfort blanket of we know is a solid coach and is going to get things done.
We need gravitas.
Yes, and so you go out and get Pete Carroll, and I think he's he's a really good coach, and certainly not the easiest situation to go into, especially at his age. But, I think going to be much better than some of the coaches they've had over the last 15, 20 years.
The Dick Clark of coaches. Forever young.
That's right. That's right. His
You know who Dick Clark was?
Oh, I do know who Dick Clark is, yes.
Okay.
No, I know who Dick Clark was. But, yes, Pete Carroll, his age and his enthusiasm are two completely different things, and he brings it.
He brings it, and I now around sports, everything's a 2 to 4 year max kind of deal.
Yeah,
I mean you're just not hoping to get that guy in and him be your Lombardi or your Landry or your Shoe. I mean, that's some heavyweights. I don't think many are really thinking they get that. But even that, just that long-term guy like Jeff Fisher was in Nashville.
That's a good one.
Okay, so he's certainly not Lombardi and Shula and those guys. But just to get that 8, 9, 10-year run, you can't count on that anymore. College, pro, basketball, or football, everything is a little bit hand to mouth now.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like existing like that. But it's where we are. It's get it done now, this brief, shining moment, this window, and hope it happens. And if it doesn't, get the next guy in here.
Yeah, and you look at that division now, the AFC West and the coaches in that division. Pete Carroll now with Vegas, Sean Payton with Denver, Harbaugh with the Chargers, and then Andy Reid with Kansas City.
Well, that's a great take.
That is a heck of a division in terms of head coaching.
Everybody except Harbaugh with the Super Bowl? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's been to one.
He has an appearance. So, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, he's been to one, with the 49ers. Yeah, that's loaded. And those teams hate each other. That AFC West back to the AFL, it's real.
Yeah.
The Raiders coaches, Antonio Pierce, before him, Josh McDaniels, interim Rich Bisaccia, good football man and good man. John Gruden, Jack Del Rio. Where did I see Jack Del Rio landed to coach? Maybe like in Italy?
Oh,
you were telling me about the Italian league.
The Italian Football League gets started next month.
Yeah, wow.
Go Parma.
Now, and where's the Italian league play their Super Bowl?
Their championship game is in Toledo. I don't know why. Toledo, Ohio. I mean, I don't know why, but that's where it's going to be. Maybe a road trip in the middle of summer.
Speaking of Italian, Tony Sperano before that. Dennis Allen, Hugh Jackson, Tom Cable, Lane Kiffin, all the way back to the second tour of duty for Art Shell, Norv Turner, and Bill Callahan. Now, there's a couple of Super Bowls in there, but for winning a Super Bowl, the Raiders are they're as out there without one as the Cowboys.
It's a lot of coaches that they've gone through.
That's a lot of coaches.
It's a lot. But I think some stability here with Pete Carroll. I guess
it is.
This weekend we'll be on Cowboy Watch and see if they
when is a win not a win? It's when it's a loss. That's easy, isn't it?
What a great transition, Brett. Yeah, I guess when it's a loss, yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, yeah.
A win is a win.
A win is a win.
And I don't think you have to ever apologize for one. There are some that are more gold starred than others. But
Sure.
the object is left-hand column, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Why are we even having to ask this?
Because of the way those wins are coming. I mean, it has been ugly. It's not been. I think we expect easy, and it's been far from easy.
But when is it ever easy? I mean,
You're
Josh
right.
Pastner was
Conference
right.
play is difficult no matter who you are.
Winning is hard, and I have said I think the two truths of life about sports: never easy, and winning never gets old.
Yeah.
I mean, ask Alabama fans. Got a little old for you. You thought it was going to happen all the time. Up jumps at 9-4.
It's not fun anymore.
Not as fun.
No, certainly not. And I don't think any Alabama fan had much fun this year, especially with the way it ended. But
and that's the perspective thing I talk about, and I like it. I like it with the Cardinals. I thought it was going to be easy, like it was most of the 21st century.
Oh man,
just thought every October was a birthright of some form of playoffs.
Yep.
And now
had the last
on the Isle of Elbe. I mean, we're in the middle of the Mojave with no canteen.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
We're trying to give our canteens away. I mean,
yeah, the last drink of water, we're trying to give it away to somebody out there in the desert.
Cardinals, man. Just get ready for a couple months.
I would just beg Tiger basketball fans, okay, plenty to work on.
Plenty.
But left-hand column 15.
Yeah.
And plenty of really nice wins, great wins.
Yeah.
It's what's holding up the net. A few weeks ago when I said they're stuck, boy, are they stuck.
Yeah.
Didn't not up or back last night. Stay stuck right there at 42.
Quite literally. I mean, as long as they're winning, it is not a the issues are not huge, but I think for me at least, you look at the way they're playing, and I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to have a spot in the tournament. If they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to be in the NCAA tournament. But then what worries me is once you get to the tournament, and if you still have these same mistakes, and if these become, like Penny Hardaway said, bad habits, it's hard to get away from bad habits sometimes, and that's what really scares me is what does this team do when they're playing the NCAA tournament quality opponents in the first game, second game of the tournament.
Today, Joe Lenardi with another round of bracketology.
Joey B, just like clockwork.
The Tuesday, Friday thing,
Right.
and usually updates every day. He has Memphis as a 5 seed.
Okay.
So, right where they were at the last big
I don't
release.
want to be a 5 seed. I'll go out and say it. I'd rather be a 6 seed.
Has Ole Miss as a 5 as well.
Wow.
With Memphis, if he was right today, opening against Lipscomb, getting the winner of Michigan and Akron. Bring all that on.
Yeah.
Bring all that on, especially with the team at Maui, especially with the team at San Francisco, the team at UNLV. I say the team at home against Louisiana Tech, even as narrow as that margin was. Certainly the team at home against Ole Miss, the team on the road at FAU. Bring all that on.
Yeah. Lipscomb, they're running the A-Sun right now. Just took a loss, actually, earlier this week to North Alabama. Michigan would be tough, though. I don't want to see Michigan in the tournament. I mean, they've got 2 7-footers they throw out there as both starters. That gives Tigers a lot of trouble.
I think it would give the Tigers a lot of trouble, and the mysterious play of the Tiger Bigs, most notably Musa Cisse, that I mean, he really hadn't scratched since Ole Miss.
Now, Ole Miss, the revenge game was fantastic.
And Chris Beard that day, congratulatory, complimentary, said he thought it was the best Memphis played, and it made so many so mad. Hey, Chris, don't forget about UConn. Well, look at the margin of the two, and I think Ole Miss for this year, certainly not historically. People, please know that I hadn't hit my head. I know not historically, but for this year, Ole Miss is right there, comparable or a little better. Look at the margin.
Yeah. No,
that's
you're
what
right.
he was meaning, trying to be complimentary. Of course, it was offensive to some.
Yeah.
That were looking to be offended.
Please. Yeah. No, I mean, something that coaches do all the time.
I think if Beard had laid it all out on line, he was stunned Musa did all that.
Well, and he was very he was complimentary of Musa and saying, that was a guy that when we took over at Ole Miss, he was one of the first guys we targeted and wanted to go out and get in the
air
transfer
quote,
portal.
why couldn't you do that for us?
Yes. I think wished he had gotten that game a lot more at Ole Miss. But no, I mean, since the start of conference play, the bigs have not been there. And, it starts with
against
Musa
tomato cans.
Yeah, I mean, Musa is definitely, I think.
This league is that bad.
Yeah.
This league in the post, except for Sunday's opponent, and then when they play them again, it's really bad interior play. That Wichita State interior play was awful.
I mean, the last two teams they played. I mean, Charlotte was non-existent.
None.
And Wichita State was bad. I mean, it's just.
I mean, you wonder
nobody.
where else those players would go and play any significant time.
Yeah, it's a good question, but I mean, you look at Musa, you look at Nicholas Jourdain. Both those guys as starters have not been playing well. Dane Danger didn't have a great game last night, and so that has been certainly a weakness as of late for this team. And then you get into the turnovers, and I think those are the two biggest issues right now.
I want input from about this at the Sissy's Log Cabin text line, please. 901-360-8255. The answer to this question: do you think Tiger fans, Memphis media, college basketball observers are waiting for that next loss for a torrent, for the dam to burst of criticism? Do you think people are waiting to criticize? Maybe eagerly waiting to criticize. Do you feel that?
I don't know if I would say eagerly, but it does feel like, and we were talking about this before the show, it feels like last night as that game went on, Memphis started the game with a lead, but then for a big chunk, they only led for about 12 minutes of game time last night. They were down outside of that 12 minutes, and I mean, what I was seeing on social media, the reaction I was getting from my friends that are big Memphis fans, that dam was starting to creak. Leaks were starting to spout all over the place. And so, yes, it feels like that loss, especially if it's home loss.
Would Sunday burst it?
I think so. And I don't think it should. I don't think it should either.
Brian, I don't think it should. If anybody's waiting for me to come in here and being a screaming lunatic on Monday, okay, maybe if it was by 27,
right.
Please give me a little wiggle room. But just a loss Sunday to UAB in conference play, if you're waiting for me to do it, sorry, not going to do it. I think that one, and maybe one more at home, semi-quasi acceptable.
You might be acceptable to you. I don't think it would be acceptable to many people.
Maybe was in there. Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
And semi and quasi was in there too.
There's a lot of stuff
qualifiers.
in there. Yeah.
It's a lot of qualifiers. I understand that. One or two out on the road and undefeated at home.
Sure.
I'm fine by. Now, what exactly would that do to the seed? It feels like the bracketologist and the seed line is waiting for the dam to burst.
Joey B loves him some Tigers.
Joe Brackett's he's the Hoover Dam of dams out there not going to burst. It is as solid as any because there's no love like Joe Brackett's love for Coach Hardaway.
Wish I could find that somewhere, but no. I mean, I'll say this, and I mean, maybe I should have come to this realization a couple games ago, but I've been riding the Tigers throughout conference play,
and I've been go against,
and I've been saying, these are the spots that if they're going to do it, this is where you do it.
I've been go against on the point spread.
Yeah.
I've been all the while thinking they would win the game. Just against good friend of mine just text. I guarantee he was there last night. Wichita State was not very good at all. No, they're not.
No, they were not.
I don't know. I don't know if the Tigers have played anyone in conference that's very good.
No, I mean, maybe
that's the conference.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very good. Not a very good conference.
Good on Sunday.
It's a good team on Sunday, and, I think they've been a weird team this year. You look at their non-conference slate and some of these teams they've lost to. I don't think they're terrible losses. Other people will tell you they're awful losses. Some of them are. Vermont's not a good loss. I don't think Illinois State is a good loss. But some of those other losses, High Point, good team. Arkansas State, heck, we know how good Arkansas State is. We saw them earlier this year. North Texas is a good team. So, a lot of these losses, Middle Tennessee, not a bad team either. Some of these losses I do not think are super bad losses. And if you look at what UAB has been doing in conference play, the offense has been really good. They, in their last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, they've put up 80 or more points in each of those games. You look at what they're doing inside. They're number one in the conference in offensive rebound percentage, and we know that is an area where Memphis really struggles, is giving up offensive rebounds and block percentage. I mean, they have Yaxel Lindenborg, who's been really good. He's starting to really pick it up, and it feels like they're starting to run that offense through him more, and that could give the Tigers issues on Sunday.
Not only do I not think now is the time to freak out and for the dam to burst, quite the opposite. Now is the time to rally around a ranked 15-4 team that looks like it's cruising to the NCAA tournament, and all Tigers be there Sunday with ferocity of if Gene Bartow was bringing a Blazer team to town.
Yeah, no, it should be a great crowd on Sunday.
Because that was not a great crowd last night.
It was not.
And that's the warmest night we've had in this calendar year.
Yes. And I know, Sundays, it's a noon tip-off. It's, kind of early on a Sunday.
It'll be over, and you can get home and watch the NFL.
That's right.
But I know Sunday it's hard for a lot of people.
Sure.
Just the down day and church service.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not going to be there because I'll be at church. So I know it's tough for people.
Soul.
Well, you got a laundry list of people, Brett. But
you ought to see the list just for me.
but no, I mean, it should be a good crowd. I mean, this is an opponent that has given the Tigers issues. Andy Kennedy, heck, he told Jonah Dillon
it is his Super Bowl
that he's just hoping to stay in the game. I mean, last year got kicked out. So
I'd never seen him lose it like that.
He
did.
And
I like him. I love him.
Yeah,
and great coach. But now this is all the Super Bowl talkers out there. This is one that at Ole Miss.
Yeah,
he wants a piece of Memphis.
He does. He absolutely does.
Look, he got his coaching chops at the foot of Bob Huggins. Bob Huggins, no enjoyment was ever more for him than beating Memphis, especially in Memphis.
Yeah, so we'll see. And he's called his team this week the hottest team, one of the hottest teams in the country. So one of the hottest teams in the country coming into FedEx Forum.
One year there was a young crew of Tiger fans that would really ride the opposing coach.
Yeah,
and this is when teams. Imagine this, flew commercial, and you could go down to the gate at airports. Wow, really crazy times, wasn't it? And they met Cincinnati and Bob Huggins at the arrival gate, and were heckling him.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Literally from the moment they get into the city.
That's what Tiger fans need to do Sunday.
Yeah, I hope it is a good crowd because that feels like it's going to be a good game, and I think a lot of people should go out and support this team. A team that, it's been kind of ugly, but they're winning games. They're a nationally ranked team. Rally around this group. Well, we're going to talk a lot more about the Tigers. 5 o'clock, Jason Munz is going to join us to talk about everything he saw last night and to preview this UAB game coming up on Sunday. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Alan Bell from Driving the Line and AB3 will join us to talk some wagering. We got to get into the conference championship games on Sunday in the NFL. We'll get his thoughts on also some college basketball, NBA, but we'll definitely get picks for this weekend in the NFL. Alan has been so good with us this year when it comes to the NFL, so we'll talk with him in our next segment. 3:45, we'll talk Grizzlies as they're in action tonight against the New Orleans Pelicans, part of rivalry week. This is one of the games that is considered rivalry week game.
Wait, there's only 3 games tonight. Are they all 3 rivals in the NBA?
I think I figured it out after a lot of research, Brad. It was not put out there very well. But I think it's only the nationally televised games that are considered rivalry week games, like last night.
/promotion week?
Yes, like last night we got Celtics and Lakers on TNT.
Well, that is.
That's rivalry week.
Maybe the best.
Tonight on NBA TV, the only game they're carrying on NBA TV, Memphis and New Orleans.
As light a Friday night of NBA scheduling as you would ever see.
3 games. I was shocked when I was looking at it this morning.
A third of the games are played in downtown Memphis. Tonight in the NBA.
I thought something was wrong with my computer.
I did too. Where are all the games?
Yeah, what is going on? Only 3 games tonight, so very light. A lot of eyes will be on this one in Memphis. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. He'll join us. We'll talk these NFL games. We'll get into some college basketball and NBA with Bruce Marshall. 4:30, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas in Fort Smith. He'll join us to talk about the Razorbacks and the SEC. We got to talk with him about Arkansas's thrilling victory victory earlier this week, a last-second shot that covered the spread for them over Georgia. They had to have that win. Really struggling through conference play, but we'll talk about that win.
And somebody had to have that gaming W.
Oh, man. A lot of people were excited when they saw that rebound and put back. Really fun out there. So we'll talk with Ty at 4:30. 4:45, we get the big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Jason Munns, the Commercial Appeal Tiger basketball beat writer, will join us to talk the Tigers, what he saw last night, what to expect on Sunday against UAB. Talk a lot of Tigers with Jason Munns. As always, he's presented every single week by Jim's Place Grill in Collierville. 5:30, we'll get to our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The floor model sale, it's going on right now at Family Leisure, and all 2024 inventory has got to go because they've got to make room for all the brand new 2025 models. All floor models up to 50% off. Cold plunge tubs starting at $49.99. Hot tubs up to $3,000 off with free steps and chemicals. Pool tables, arcades, ping pong tables, air hockey, foosball tables, all 20 to 60% off. And don't forget about the theater seating, now up to 75% off. It's also not too early to start thinking about pool season. Buy now and get on the schedule for install before that summer rush hits. Only at Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Produced by Landon Schmidt, we are Sportstime, and we're with you to 6 o'clock to wrap up this week, and we want you to join us. He is Bryant, I am Brett, and the text and talk line is 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. We want your interaction there. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. As Bryant said so well, always in our Family Leisure studio. In this hour, brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models and always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the rest of the day or into the weekend. Stop by at the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is Memphis's 61-53 win over Wichita State, a game where they only led for 12 minutes and 49 seconds of game time. They got out there.
That's going around in college basketball this weekend.
It's been the
But that's the only time it matters.
That's right. It's the final score. That's what matters. But Tigers got out to a 5-0 lead early, led for the first 5 or 6 minutes, and then really up until late, the last 4 or so minutes, they trailed the entire way. But it was that final 4 or so minutes where Memphis went on a 12-2 run over the last 4 minutes and 29 seconds of the game. That's what was able to get them over that hump, get the lead, and get a nice victory, at least a somewhat nice margin victory over Wichita State. 20 turnovers for the Tigers and only 6 assists. It really felt like last night Penny Hardaway in his post-game press conference kind of had that breaking point with all of the turnovers and talked about how much that was troubling. Said that he was going to have to coach this team differently. They were going to have a different identity offensively, kind of running more directly through P.J. Haggerty and Tyrese Hunter to try to limit those turnovers. In the first half, the turnovers were really the big issue. The Tigers turned the ball over 14 times on 33 possessions in the first half. That's a 42% turnover percentage in the first half. That is just something that cannot happen. And led to Wichita State getting a lot of momentum, having the lead for pretty much the entirety of that first half. The Tigers shot the ball well, 44% from the field, 31% from three, so not a terrible shooting night for them. They were only 60% from the free throw line, but defensively held the Shockers to only 40% from the field, 3 for 16 from three, and limited Wichita State's bench to only 8 bench points. It was another game where the Tigers were out rebounded 32-29, so it really feels like that front court play, rebounding, and the turnovers, the biggest issues right now for the Tigers.
Yeah, they have some issues. Nobody's perfect. Remember, it's January 24th. Long time till the Final Four. Long time till Selection Sunday even. My top story, championship game weekend, AFC, NFC. Buffalo's last Super Bowl appearance, the 1993 Super Bowl in Atlanta at a stadium that no longer exists, the Georgia Dome. Played host to the drubbing to the Cowboys that day. The Cowboys, who are they? Dallas Cowboys. Can anybody tell me about the Dallas Cowboys?
No.
Kansas City, last Super Bowl appearance, it was last year, back-to-back champs. 4 Super Bowl appearances in the last 5. In the NFC, the Eagles' last Super Bowl appearance 2 years ago, 2023, heartbreaking loss, 38-35 in Phoenix to Kansas City. And hail to old D.C., Washington. Last Super Bowl, January of 92 in Minneapolis at a stadium that no longer exists, the Metrodome in downtown Minneapolis, Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. So tomorrow, or Sunday, we will have these games, and we will find out who will make up Super Bowl 59. I think it will be fun if Buffalo finally gets there.
It'll be really fun.
And wins it.
Yeah, and it feels like Josh Allen and that Buffalo team maybe kind of do. They've been around in the playoffs a lot, but just can't get over that hump. Maybe they can get it done on Sunday.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, we talked a lot, especially during What's Trending yesterday, about Jimmy Butler. ESPN reporting yesterday that Jimmy Butler is fine going anywhere as long as it's not Memphis. And then there was a story that was put out earlier today by ESPN, a ESPN Plus story titled NBA Trade Deadline Intel, Suns Bucks among the most desperate to make a deal. Well, it has a section talking about the Grizzlies and kind of where they're at around the trade deadline. It has this little nugget in there for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are lurking in Butler trade talks, sources said, and have been in contact with the Heat during the process. Rival league executives believe Memphis is trying to combine a talent influx with offloading some future salary so it can facilitate a contract extension for Jaren Jackson Jr. as early as this summer. Butler, meanwhile, has made it known that he could opt out of his contract this summer and seek free agency. Sources have theorized that if the Grizzlies can acquire him for a playoff run and also free cap space this summer, that's where the interest might lie. I still do not think the Grizzlies have overwhelming interest in Jimmy Butler. I do not think that is a trade or a deal that is going to happen for the Grizzlies, but it is kind of interesting kind of seeing the thought process behind why so many people are putting the Grizzlies in that mix for Jimmy Butler. So I think a lot of people still questioning what, if anything, the Grizzlies will do around the trade deadline. But the biggest thing is tonight's game against the New Orleans Pelicans. We know John Morant is listed as questionable with an illness. Our friend DeMichael Cole reported that he was not at shoot-around, but also did add that he was not at shoot-around when he was listed as questionable with an illness against Houston and still played that night. So still very much in play for tonight's game. Also, Zion Williamson listed as questionable for tonight's game. So we'll see if we get those two stars on the court. But the Grizzlies right now, a 4-game win streak, they can improve that to 5 and be feeling really good with how they've been playing over the last 5, 6, 7 games.
Zion's played in 10 games this year.
And they've looked good when he's played. I mean, he's
just not in there
well.
enough.
Just can't stay on the floor.
You can't stay on the floor. My not top story, a win is a win until it's a loss. I'll pass on the freak out, and I'll pass on the analysis by paralysis. It was bad last night, but it's been bad, but it's been effective. Winning's the object. Has the seed been affected? Maybe. But if you keep on winning, the seed will take care of itself. And Sunday versus UAB will be the best challenge for this team and for these fans. It's time for Tiger fans to come to the sport of this team.
Yeah, and I hope they do, because I think Sunday is going to be a very important game and a challenge for the Tigers at home. Well, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's get to our first break. When we return, we're talking some wagering with Alan Bell.
Specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com. As we traverse everywhere, from dust mites, dander, and pollen, to smog, asthma, construction anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed. Sponsored by Armstrong Pharmaceuticals.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 91271-5199.
You get the best of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and pulled shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh baked bread is delivered daily by our bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's gifts and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on summer in the Lowe's parking lot. And the newest Elwood's at 4045 across from the Northern. Get the best of Memphis or anywhere else at Elwood Shack. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Tigers. Here are your hosts, Red Star Sports Movie and Brian Gates.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk some wagering, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line joins us now. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. Brett and I were just talking about some of those player props you gave us last week, some of those quarterback rushing.
Unbelievable.
Really good stuff last week. Fun to play those during those games last week.
Man, it is. First off, I appreciate you guys having me back. And, when you get to the playoffs, and you guys know it better than anybody, I mean, games shrink, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at player props, you want to look at players that have the ball the most, all right? It sounds simple, but it is, right? Quarterbacks, in terms of their rushing. Patrick Mahomes, kneel down. They count as rushing attempts, right? You take a look at, running back Saquon Barkley, his longest rush. I mean, just play that every week, man. It's unbelievable. But, we've got two good games coming up Sunday. Man.
But you got there last week with the Josh Allen over rushing attempts, and I thought that was a big number. You got there, and it was fairly easy. But getting there with Jared Goff rushing for over a half yard, and with a minute 33 to play, he had a 7-yard scamper.
How nice is that? You know what? Sometimes, hey, you just say thank you and
That's
appreciate living right, I guess.
Grand slam in the scorebook, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
When that green check mark comes up, it doesn't come up with like that small print in a long contract.
No, there ain't no clauses with that one.
There's no asterisk. It just comes up check mark, right?
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's right. Well, let's get into these games this weekend, and let's start with the first game, the NFC Championship. Commanders and Eagles. Commanders have been the story, certainly, of the playoffs, one of the stories of the season with how they've played with rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. On the other side, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. Saquon Barkley, his rushing prop, just incredible. I think around 121 or something like that. Just crazy to see that type of number for a rushing prop. Right now, Philly, a 6-point favorite, total at 47.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, look, you nailed it first and foremost. All right. Yeah, that Saquon Barkley, it was 121. Now it's 127 and a half. That is a massive number, dude. It's crazy. Look, Washington took out Detroit in Detroit. They can beat anybody. However, this is going to be a really tough matchup because, number one, the Commanders aren't really that good at stopping the run. All right, I think they're ranked 30th in the NFL, and the Eagles ranked first or second running the football. Right now, the question is, can Washington continue their method of success? And what that has been, time of possession, all right, and play. They just hold the ball, right? They just don't let you
Keep away.
score. Yeah, exactly, right? Like your best defense is your offense. So the problem is that Philly does time of possession better than they do. The only question really is Jalen Hurts, man. Like, he's banged up for sure. Like, he's going to go. But how healthy is he? If he's not in the game, if anything happens, look out. That being said, I feel like this is an under game. 47.5, buddy. I think both teams want to just run the football and win 14-10. I think they'd be happy with that.
Alan, who's been the better NFL quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa or Jalen Hurts?
Great question. Tua probably has done more in regards to individual numbers, right? Like just what he's had to work with. But Jalen Hurts, he's been to a Super Bowl. He's on a really good team. You can't take that away from him. I'll say Jalen, but that answer is a lot closer than people think.
Sure
and
is.
Tua's missed a lot of time, too. You know what I mean? But he's been a very productive quarterback.
The whole availability thing, it's really a microcosm of them at Bama. Kind of the long game, the workmanlike was Jalen Hurts. The splashy, exciting thrill a minute was Tua.
Yeah,
and
it was. Doesn't that feel forever
same
ago,
thing
too?
at the NFL, yeah. And it was probably Coach Nick Saban's biggest coaching dilemma at Bama, and having to say, "I'm staying with Tua, Jalen. You need to go somewhere where you can play."
Yeah, and think about how big of a decision that is, right? And even for somebody like Nick Saban to make that decision, that takes guts, and he did it, and it obviously paid off.
You like any player props in this game?
Yeah, so take a look here. Again, Saquon Barkley, longest rush. I think it's at 25.5 yards. He's going to get 8 million carries, right? I don't know if I'm playing over 25.5 just because that number is big and things can happen, but he looks like he could break one off at any moment. I like that. I'll be honest. I've got a 2-leg parlay, and I'll go ahead and speak it to you. I like the Eagles money line, and I like the Bills money line. Ooh. We'll talk about that game in a second, but I like those. I'm not betting too terribly much, though, on this game. I really don't think that this is going to be high scoring, and I don't think it's going to be very profitable for prop bettors. The second game is probably going to be way more.
I texted you this morning. These games are hard to pick.
Yeah, they are, and especially you get two teams that don't really want to let the other one catch fire. You know what I mean? Like Philly is going to play time of possession football. They're going to be playing the Commanders, and they're also playing the clock. All right. I'll say this: Philly scored a first quarter touchdown in 6 straight games. Ooh. 6 straight. Yeah. If they get a lead early, they are running the rock even more, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get to the AFC game, back to college that finished Monday night.
Yep.
Did you think this was a hard year to pick college?
Oh God, yeah, it was very difficult. I mean, look at the conferences, right? Like, look, we're not used to, the SEC champion having 2 losses. It's just it was tough, and I think it's going to be that way moving forward now that we've got NIL, now that we've got the transfer portal. I mean, look, the Big Ten has won 2 straight national championships, right? Like, it's shifting. I'm not saying that, things are going like the SEC or anything, but other teams are getting better. We got a lot more parity. It's becoming more like the NFL. And some ways that's good, some ways it's bad, but from betting, yeah, like, be prepared, man. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have me interested in the second game with that parlay you have. So let's get to Bills Chiefs. A big one, 2 unbelievable quarterbacks. Right now, Kansas City, a 2-point favorite. The total at 48.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. Like I said, man, I like the Bills. I think they win this game outright. I think that Josh Allen and Buffalo, that entire roster, coaching staff, they know, like, this is the one. If you're going to do it, this is the one. Go do it. And they've already beat Kansas City once, although this is the one that matters, and they haven't done that really in the playoffs. But I think that they're the better team. Kansas City has a heck of a defense, and any time that 15 is on that field, Mahomes, buddy, you're going to have to earn it. But I think that Josh Allen and the Bills are just the better team in this one. And you know what? They're not afraid of the cold either. Like, that's not anything that's going to mess up the what they do. If you look at player props, I like Josh Allen. Anytime touchdown, I think that in the red zone they will keep it very safe, and I think they will give James Cook him, right? I also like Patrick Mahomes again, over 4.5 rushing attempts. He's going to have to run the football because if you look at the book, his passing attempts number is around 36.5. That's a big number, man. He's usually not that way, meaning I don't know how much they're going to get out of Kareem Hunt or Pacheco. Mahomes will have to run a little bit. And then Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown. Mahomes does not run in touchdowns at all. And in the playoffs, I mean, look at the tight end productions that we've seen throughout. Like, these guys get looks for a reason, big bodies, they trust them. Yeah, Kelce, anytime touchdown.
Anything on the kickers, particularly Harrison Butker, who's usually money at home at Arrowhead?
Yeah, I'll say this. It scares me. The way to play it is to play over 3.5 field goals. Take both teams because you don't know which way it's going to go. But, Brett, you're right in the sense that those field goals are going to matter.
And they count, too.
Coaches, they absolutely do. The Chiefs, man, they use them, and they're smart to do it, and the Bills do, too. So I wouldn't tell you to go one way or the other. I'd tell you to take over 3.5 for both teams because you could see one team have 4 on their own, the team that wins, right? And then 1 or 2 on the other. So, yeah, take over 3.5 for both.
It's why I thought it was ridiculous, some of the critics of Harrison Butker in the offseason over his commencement address that he gave. First of all, that's how he believes. Second of all, a great percentage of people that are on that parking lot and in that stadium, they believe that too. But 100% of those people love how he kicks that football.
Yeah.
They do. Hey, you know what? The punter as well. He went through his own crazy situation, and they were smart enough to pick him up too, man. Kansas City is I can't wait to watch this game because like I said, I think the Bills are better, but, buddy, that only works on paper. You're going to have to go earn it. They ain't going to give it to you at all.
Yeah, and this is, you said it's Buffalo's time. We've all talked about windows. If Buffalo lost, they collectively get crushed. If Kansas City loses, not crushed, but we start writing the end of the dynasty, they've won their last one, et cetera.
Well, yeah, as long as Mahomes is there, no. You know what I mean? But, it's interesting. Like, you look at it like pressure in the playoffs. Usually the home team, the higher seeds, like, they have the pressure on them. The Chiefs don't feel any pressure. They've done this 2 times in a row. They know what they're doing. The pressure's on Buffalo, But you look at the NFC side, the pressure's on Philly. It ain't on Washington, man. They're playing just clean and loose and having fun, yeah. So it's fascinating seeing the road team have the pressure.
Sirianni not sleeping anything. I mean, they
no.
can hit him over the head with a sledgehammer, and he's not going to sleep this weekend.
Buddy, he ain't at all, man. Like, can you imagine how, dude, there's stress going on. Look at Ohio State. Ryan Day was taking threats, and this man delivered. Like, that guy was living real pressure.
Yeah,
sure.
And Andy Reid sitting over there, he's got all his titles. Offseason is going to be good for him one way or the other.
Always, baby. Andy Reid knows culture and he knows ball. That man is dude, he's done a lot of winning, I'll say that.
He's felt no pressure since he went out there head and shoulders bigger than everybody else in punt, pass, and kick on Monday Night Football. Yeah. One of the great photos of all time, isn't it?
All time. time. Like, that's the greatest photo. He's
And everybody
7 foot
played
tall.
Little League with that kid that looked like a grown man. Why are you out here with us little kids?
Yeah, you're like, can I get double pads? I'm not tackling him.
You know, that 12-year-old that was shaving. I mean, come on, man. That's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, dude, do we get a driver's license check on this guy?
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, Alan, before we let you go, tell people where they can find more of you and what y'all have got going over there at Driving the Line.
Yeah, man. Driving the Line on YouTube at Driving the Line. Daily show, 10 a.m. Eastern. We break down the day's best, look ahead, talk ball, have fun. In fact, we'll break down Taco Bell menu orders. We'll have a blast, man. Come check us out on YouTube at Driving the Line.
You know, the Mexican pizza really underrated.
Oh, it's great. Oh, great.
With
So,
the mild
see, I knew
sauce slobbered all over it.
You're a man of culture right there, I can tell.
Well, I know fine dining.
I love it.
That he does. Well, Alan, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Hey, look forward to it, boys. Y'all be good. Take
Good
care.
luck. Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. Alan Bell joining us from Driving the Line, the AB3, every single week to give us some picks, talk through these games, especially in the NFL. He has a really good handle on the NFL and some good plays for this weekend, and he is all over the Bills and kind of what we've been talking about. If you're going to do it, this is the time to do it, and I think they got a good opportunity this weekend.
You just know around the Bills Hotel, everybody's trying to act loose, but they're not.
No.
This is it.
Yeah, it's a big one on Sunday, and certainly the later game, a lot of eyes going to be on that one. Let's get to another break, and when we return, we got to talk the Grizzlies. They're back in action tonight against the New Orleans Pelicans. We'll talk about that next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sometimes you just want to make it fast, like the fun-intentional quick and nimble 2024 Honda CB500F. This amazing style stabilizer to narrow 471cc twin, along with sleek GFG's blade, dual disc front brakes, and standard ABS. All ready for progress. Find fun all around Lexus 2024 Honda CB500F. Available at Sun Honda 5656 Golden Road, Orange.
Sales happening right now through the end of January. Family Leisure has got to get rid of all the 2024 inventory because all the new 2025 items are starting to arrive. All floor models are up to 50% off. You want a cold plunge tub? They start at $49.99. Go the other route with a hot tub. Get $3,000 off with free steps and chemicals. Family Leisure has pool tables, arcades, ping pong, air hockey, even baseball tables from 20 to 60% off. Family Leisure has theater seating up to 75% off. Plus, now's the time to start thinking about pool seats. You can buy it and get on the installation schedule and be ready before everyone else. Special financing is also available. If you want to get free delivery on any of these items, you just tell the phone staff at Family Leisure that you are this commercial. It's the floor model. So now, through the end of January, Family Leisure, 100 I-40, family and fun come together.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I plug mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Fiveash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Hey folks, no time to wait. It's here, the 36th annual January sale going on now at Sunrise Buick GMC of Wolf Case. Didn't get what you wanted for the holidays? That's okay. Now's the time to take care of you. Are you 100% happy with your non-API? Now's the time to get you a new ride. Huge rebates, big discounts, low interest rates, and more offering you no credit. Sunrise Divorce, low pay, just no credit. It's all okay at Sunrise.
Pelicans. Arrive early. First 5,000 or receive a Memphis Sounds record player car air freshener. Secure your tickets today at Boostics.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports Business This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Glenn Starks, Sports Movie, and Brian Davis.
Well, the Grizzlies back in action tonight. We talk about downtown at FedEx Forum. Really good action
Beehive.
all week, and it started 2 nights ago with the Grizzlies. Now Memphis
Been a lot of
teams
winning
in there,
already.
2-0.
Yeah.
You can have an opportunity to go 5-0 with the home games this week as they alternate every night between the Tigers and the Grizzlies.
And think of that undefeated this week at FedEx Forum for teams with Memphis across the front of the uniform and where that will position both.
Yeah.
All this Tiger reluctance, Tiger, I won't say disenchantment, Tiger frustration. Win Sunday over UAB by one, for sure a win is a win.
Yeah.
And might be one of the opportunities to move up a little bit in the net world. For the Grizzlies tonight to get to 15 over 500, tomorrow night to get to 16 over 500, and heavily favored in both. I mean, you've got a lot of wiggle room to just make the playoffs and to have a good record once you've got to 16 over 500 in late January.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it, Grizzlies on a 4-game win streak, the Tigers now with back-to-back wins, and now for the Grizzlies, game tonight, game tomorrow night, they can make that a 6-game win streak, and Tigers with a win on Sunday, a 3-game win streak, only one loss in conference play so far, and you look once you get past UAB, you get a pretty easy patch in terms of conference play. Tulane on the road. This is not the same Tulane team that we've seen in recent years. Rice has had their issues this year. Tulsa has not been a good team by any means. So you can really get rolling, if you beat UAB on Sunday.
I looked this up earlier today, just the amount of time that's been missed by Zion Williamson in his professional career. And a lot of it's been very serious injury, but some of it has been his ability to really not be in shape that leads to injury. It's always something with him. Most of it I don't think was preventable, but I think some of it could have been. He's been mishandled. It's not, if he works in the NBA, it's not going to be there.
Right.
And the poor Pelicans, they can't ever seem, Chris Paul, Anthony Davis, Zion, that should be your franchise player that you hope any one of those three plays the entire career there and is your Tim Duncan or some type of star like that. He is already, in the very limited play he's been with the Pelicans, he is already the 6th leading scorer in Pelicans history.
Is that right?
If he'd have been in there, he'd be
man.
runaway one.
He'd already be number one by a mile.
And he mostly hadn't done anything.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing.
He has stumbled into being 6th leading scorer.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, it's just he cannot stay in there. When he's out there, he's shown he is a great player, but it's just he can't stay out there.
It wasn't enough for Anthony Davis. That was the knock on him there. Chris Paul wasn't injury. It was just him wanting to be somewhere else.
Sure.
And he didn't win anything anywhere else.
Yeah, and so he'll be out tonight, and so will Brandon Ingram, who is out again with a left ankle sprain. So both those guys will be out tonight, and this team without those two players, I know Brandon Ingram feels like the biggest one around trade deadline that will get moved from New Orleans. But with both those guys out, a really good opportunity for the Grizzlies to get a dominant win tonight.
Anthony Davis, all-time leading scorer in Pels history.
Wow.
David West, 2, Chris Paul, 3, Drew Holiday, 4, Brandon Ingram, 5, Zion Williamson, 6. 47, 61, 8. He's about 2,500 from 5th, but he's not going to go any higher. And that's just happenstance playing.
Yeah, wow.
It's how good he is.
Yeah, he's great. And but
ninth place, JV, Jonas Valanciunas, leading scorer in Pels history. Who had that one? I bet he's up there in rebounds, too. Let me look. 4th in rebounds, JV.
Wow. News to me that you can just go in play 2 games with the Pelicans and you'll be in the top 15.
Just drive through town.
Yeah.
Drive through snowy New Orleans.
Yes. Oh, man. Good Lord. The Pelicans happy to get out of New Orleans for a road game with all the snow shutting down the city. But no, I think the Grizzlies, this is a game they should win tonight. And, I'll be curious to see if
and
Ja
tomorrow
goes tonight.
same.
Yeah, tomorrow night against the Jazz is the exact same thing. But with
pretty cozy week when you get Charlotte, New Orleans, and Utah.
Yeah, that was the thing is, last week when you're playing Houston,
thank you, schedule
those teams, you're on. Next week it's awfully easy. It gets tougher though. Once you're done with Utah, on the road against the Knicks, and then back.
Yeah, you eventually pay
against the Hornets team, against the Rockets team that the Grizzlies have not been able to beat at all. This will be the last meeting against the Rockets all year.
Yeah, Monday night at the Garden, and then next Thursday night against Houston. That will be much tougher than this week's pick.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. And you look at John Morant again. We've talked about it is questionable for tonight. Illness has been going around the Grizzlies for a little bit now, and I don't.
It has, and I am lucky. I mean, it's a lot of people with the bad crud, and I haven't.
Yeah,
I don't know how. I usually the leader in the clubhouse in catching it.
Yeah, well, both Ja and Santi Aldama both listed as questionable for tonight's game with illness.
A friend of mine told me he's coughed so hard he said, "I think I've broken ribs."
Oh, I hate those type of coughs. Oh, those are the worst. But, it was, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, when John Morant was, and I mentioned earlier to Michael Cole talking about this, he was listed as questionable with an illness on the road at Houston, missed shoot-around, ended up playing in the game, and so who knows if he missed shoot-around this morning, who knows if he'll be able to go tonight.
All I can say is clean living and about 4 Cokes a day.
I guess so.
That's what's carrying me.
That's what they say, a couple Cokes a day keep the doctors away.
Yeah, and Twinkies for breakfast.
Yeah,
that'll do it.
That's the recipe. Healthy life of living. That's the recipe right there. But we'll see what happens later tonight with the Grizzlies in action. 7:00 tonight. We will have the local broadcast, but we'll also be on NBA TV. So I'm sure a lot of people will have their eyes glued to this game tonight. With only, you mentioned earlier, Brett, only 3 games tonight in the NBA. So a very, very,
kind of taking a Friday off.
Yeah, really. So it'll be a lot of games tomorrow. We get the second Paris game tomorrow as well. So
that's why Brian Windhorst is still there.
Windy is still there. They're playing 2 games in Paris, one yesterday.
Crushing the
other
ESPN
tomorrow.
expense tab.
Yeah, and he looks cold. He was all bundled up, gloves, hat on. I mean, he looked really cold out there. But we'll see what the Grizzlies can do tonight. Let's go ahead and wrap up this hour. And when we return, talking some more wagering, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. He joins us next.
For 75 years, Americans have been falling in love with Volkswagen, and we gossip Volkswagen Germantown. Hey, what's up over there, Marty McMahon?
Any of these big savings, take your pick lane from a 2025 Jetta Sport or 2024 Volkswagen Taos SE, $249 a month.
Jetta or Taos, $249 a month. What else you got?
2024 Tiguan S or 2025 Jetta SE, $279 a month.
Tiguan S or Jetta SE, $279 a month?
That's right, and all 2024 Atlas SELT edition, $5,000 off MSRP.
So get to Gossip Volkswagen Germantown and ask for Marty McMahon.
Remember, your future is what you make it.
That's Gossip Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road. Online, gossipvwg.com. What a great time of year. Football, basketball, baseball, golf, and home sales. Realtors reminded I throw in home sales at this time of year because I have sold homes on the day before Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and New Year's Day. Whether it's someone transferring in through a relocation network or someone just starting their home search, homes sell all year long, just like my golf game being banned all year long. I may be called Mr. Three-Putt, but at least I'm consistent. If you or someone you know is thinking of selling, make sure and talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, but make sure I'm one of them. Find out how my highly successful strategic marketing program can get the winning score you need. Call me and find out why people often say when you want the job done, call Shell Done. 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. Go for that goal and call me. Shell Done at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Trying to clear up a wreck that's been out there for a while. 55 northbound on-ramp at Brooks and Elvis Presley. Now, hopefully that'll be out of there sooner than later as it starts to build in the Midtown area. On 240 South at South Parkway, it's picked up a little bit more volume. On 40 West over here at Danny Thomas, continuing across the I-40 bridge over into West Memphis. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your Valentine's Day headquarters this year. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders. CBS Sports, Vegas on website, VegasSports.net, for over 30 years on Memphis Radio. Bruce Marshall,
Bruce Marshall joins us now from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net to talk some wagering. And Bruce, a lot to get to today, but let's start in the NFL with the conference championship games. Let's start with the NFC conference championship game. Commanders and Eagles right now. Philly a 6-point favorite. That total at 47.5. What do you like in this one?
I like Washington, and I think Washington's got a chance to win. I'm going out on a limb here a little bit, but something's happened here. First of all, we are not sure that Jalen Hurts is 100%, though he's going to play. But I mean, he was laboring badly at the end of that game last week with the knee. And we saw that last sack he got on their last real possession there is something he might have been able to get away from if he was moving normally. He was not at the end of the game. Now, it's 7 days between games, so he'll probably be able to do much of his normal stuff. And I credit Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni for kind of letting, at the start of the game, you could tell the Rams were massing their defense against Barkley, but Hurts was really good in that first drive, and he had that long run, so he was able to do some things. But if he is hurting, it might be a little, if his mobility is limited, that may be a problem for Philadelphia. We know what Saquon can do and how he's destroyed Washington in the past. Even when he was with New York, with the Giants, he destroyed Washington. And Saquon plus Vic Fangio coordinating the defense, it's a different Philadelphia, a better Philadelphia, I think, than 2 years ago when they got to the Super Bowl. However, Jaden Daniels seems to be the great equalizer here. I am telling you, he is quickly becoming one of my all-time favorite quarterbacks.
I'm with you.
He seems impervious to pressure. and sort of it's almost infectious the way his teammates react to him there, and he just sort of laughs and but you know he he gets the job done. Doesn't seem to faze him. I'm trying to think back of a rookie quarterback who has made this sort of an impact, and it's very hard to think of one. Dak Prescott had a very good rookie year with Dallas in 16, but he did get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs right out of the box, and that team was more of a run team, and Zeke had a big year, and Dak wasn't really the fulcrum of the team, and neither was Sanchez with the Jets or Flacco with the Ravens in 2010 and or 29 and 28 respectively. They were rookies, but they were just sort of secondary players in both of those teams that ran the ball in defense. Big Ben did this with Pittsburgh, did a little bit more than Sanchez or Flacco did as a rookie back in 2004, but not quite the impact Daniels had. He did get to the championship game of the conference. I got to go back all the way to Dan Marino in '83 for a rookie quarterback who looked this comfortable out there. And but you got to remember, Marino was on a team that had played in the Super Bowl the previous year, and it took him a month to start because David Woodley started that season at quarterback. Marino also lost his first playoff game that year. I think you got to go back to Joe Namath back in '65 for a rookie quarterback to look this comfortable and this good. And Namath did not get to the playoffs that year either in '65, so or the AFL title game in that year. So it really, this is some new territory farmed here by Daniels and a team playing with house money. Tennessee was sort of like that 5 years ago. They won those first two playoff games out on the road at New England and Baltimore as underdogs, like Washington has done here. But it's rare you get a team with this sort of playing with house money like this. I think they got a shot. I'm going to call it 30-27 Washington. This kid is magic. This team is just impervious right now. And I don't know about Philadelphia here and Hurts' status. And that magic dust we've seen from Washington all year, I may ride it another week.
I love the pick, Bruce. There's nothing that's ever going to top in LSU football fandom lore Joe Burrow. He led them to a national championship and did it in Heisman Trophy winning style and with a lot of panache. I texted Bryant and Darian Newsom over the weekend. I think in the end, in the NFL, Jaden Daniels can have a better NFL career than Joe Burrow.
He might, and I am old enough to remember. I think the best, even better than as good as Burrow is. I thought Burt Jones was the best quarterback to ever come out of LSU. It took him, though, a couple of years to get going in Baltimore, and then he wrecked his shoulder.
Yep.
So we only had about 3-4 years there. We saw
if he
Jones
hadn't gotten hurt,
best.
he would have been one of the all-timers.
Yeah, he would have been. But Daniels, Burrow's awfully good, too. But Daniels is something else, and he's just so cool. The moment doesn't seem too big for him. Burrow wasn't doing this as a rookie. The second year he came on, Burrow got hurt as a rookie, too. But this kid is something special, and this is house money, and they're very dangerous. And the second game against Philadelphia when they came back, I know Hurts got knocked out in that game, but that was Jaden Daniels' magic. We have seen it all year. This team has won some games in some very, very unique ways, and that's sort of the trademark of a team that's on a hot roll like that and playing a hot hand.
And David Woodley, also LSU guy, as you mentioned.
Yeah, who Marino replaced in '83.
And started the Super Bowl against Washington, David Woodley did. Now, it might be one or two long-timers out there saying, what about Y.A. Tittle at LSU?
You could you could say that, too.
The bald eagle.
The bald eagle himself. So, he was, in the NFL, he had quite a career there. So you could say that, too. I remember... he was before my time. I remember him in the NFL when I was very young. Nelson Stokely, I remember him. In the 60s there.
Yeah.
And so he was there too when I was younger. But I think Daniels though is something else, and he's just so unique. And this team is winning games in some magic ways. 6 points too many. And I'd be tempted to take them on the money line too as an outright upset.
There you go. And 30-27 gets there on the over.
Yeah, and maybe an over, too.
Yeah. How about that second game? Bills Chiefs right now. Kansas City a 2-point favorite. Total at 48.5.
I don't. I think Buffalo might be the better team, but I don't think they're going to win this week. Even though they have won in Kansas City each of the last 3 years in the regular season, and they beat them in the regular season this year in Buffalo. But these are the playoffs, and this is a little bit different. They've also lost 3 times to the Chiefs in the postseason since 2020. They're a really close one in 21. That went into overtime. And last year was close, but Bass missed that field goal at the end. That might be important again here to think about when we analyze this one. Listen, Buffalo, for all the things they've done in recent years, and Josh Allen, we know how good he is, yet to win a playoff game on the road. Buffalo, just for history's sake here, has not won a game as a visitor in the postseason since way back 93 AFC title game against Miami. That's the last one they won, I think. So it's been 9 straight. Playoff game there. They had a long playoff drought in there as well. But still, this would be new territory if Buffalo actually wins one of these on the road. They did beat them in mid-November at home. But I thought they got fortunate last week. I mean, a couple of those mistakes Baltimore made were crushers. Lamar's fumble that went bad. That was maybe a 10-point play, maybe a 14-point swing right there. Very oddball play. Andrews, the fumble in the fourth quarter there, then him dropping that pass at the end. I thought Baltimore probably should have won that game. Kansas City does not. We can't look at the stats anymore, other than results with Mahomes. It's not the same offense without Tyreek Hill there, and he doesn't use his wideouts that much. But he still has Kelsey and Mahomes' ability to make something happen out of nothing and sustain drives, and that's sort of always. Sometimes you don't need to score every possession, but 2-3 first downs can slow the momentum the other way if the other team has just scored. And Casey's good at that. Also, Spagnuolo's defense is very, very, very good. And I maintain that was as important as anything last year in the Super Bowl. Once they figured out what San Francisco was doing, the Niners really struggled. And it's been the same way this year. It's been Spagnuolo's defense and a lot of close wins for Kansas City. The fact this number is under 3 also makes me more emboldened to recommend the Chiefs. And I mentioned field goals a minute ago. Bass missing that field goal at the end last year. You've got Butker the other way. He's back in there. I would rather have Butker. I could see KC winning this game by 3 or 6. I'm going to actually call it 23-17. KC on the strength of more Butker field goals than Bass field goals the other way. But maybe an under here as well, which has been Kansas City's trend. But I think Chiefs are going back to the big one, I think.
Again.
So that's my thought.
Again, Kansas City and Washington, they've never met in a Super Bowl. Kansas City and Philadelphia, they have in Washington and Buffalo. They've met in a Super Bowl. The criticism on Buffalo in defeat, more directed at Sean McDermott or at the quarterback?
It depends how this game unfolds. At some point, if it's Allen making some mistakes, it'll fall on him. Or if he doesn't unless he's just outplayed by Magic Mahomes. If the result of this game is more Mahomes doing it, if it ends up like I think, then McDermott, I think, gets a little bit more heat. If you can pin this more on Allen, if he makes some mistakes, then he'll get more heat. So I think if Buffalo's going to lose, it depends how it happens, which of those two would get more heat. But, I mean, again, they're right here, and you think, that this is the 4th playoff in the last 5 years that these teams have met, and KC keeps blocking Buffalo's way here. It's sort of like the early 70s when the Niners kept getting blocked by Dallas in the playoffs, and it's sort of feeling the same with Buffalo. I mean, if they get over the hump, that may change the dynamics going forward completely. But until they do it in the playoffs, I'm sticking with the Chiefs.
Bruce, back to college that wrapped up on Monday night. How would you grade over kind of your thoughts on the first year of the expanded 12-team college football playoff?
I didn't like it. I don't like. There's so many things about this. That's one piece of a very big puzzle in college football that has to change. I think, to make this thing more. If they want to run this thing like the NFL, and I think we talked about this before, you've got to figure out more uniform scheduling with all these conferences that are involved. I think you better look at how the conference title games fit in this. The fact Jim Phillips came out this week and said what he did about the ACC. First of all, how dare he assume ACC should get an extra bid every year after they a horrific performance by their teams in the entirety of the bowl season this year. But to suggest that maybe the champion team doesn't play in the ACC title game,
automatic bid.
Yeah, I mean, you're defeating the whole purpose. I will say this about they haven't thought this thing through. There is no reason for this committee every week to tell us where the rankings are, because in the end, that took a lot of the drama out the last week there. And to what if Phillips is referring to something, it's like, SMU, okay, it seemed like they were already in because they're where they were ranked, and they're not going to move them down for a conference title game.
And it's not great Tuesday night TV, especially with an imbecile like Ward Manuel trying to explain it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I equate this. There was a short time. I'm going back here. NBC had the Ali Ernie Shavers fight on national TV with Dick Enver calling it in '77, September. Mm-hmm. And they actually had the scorecards every round for, how the refs and the judges were scoring the fight. And you got to the 15th round, and I guess Shavers people weren't paying attention because he was acting like he already won the fight.
Yeah, he was rope-a-dope.
And all you had to do was, but it took a lot of the drama out. I mean, you want to hear the referee's decision. They don't need to tell us the rankings every week. It's not necessary. This thing is, we know the weekly polls are one thing, but for the playoff, they don't need to start this thing at the end of October and tell everybody how it's going. Just do it once. They got to think this stuff through. And frankly, if it's college administrators, the guys who are involved in this, I'm not sure they're going to get it right for a long, long, long time.
That fight, Bruce, was that a Friday night on TV?
September, I think it was a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. In '77, at the end of September of
NBC was trying to run a package of boxing then, weren't they? Everybody was trying to cash in on boxing after the '76 Olympic team.
Yeah, and NBC put some fights on. They had a Ken Norton, Dwayne Bobbitt fight earlier that year. ABC always used to do a pretty decent job, and then CBS picked it up. So for a while, it was sort of after that '76.
Who am I thinking was Friday night? Was Hagler, Leonard, Hearns? So one of those fights was a Friday night ABC fight, wasn't it?
Well, Hagler and Leonard were on a lot. Now, when they finally met in '87, it was a closed circuit deal, but they were on quite a bit in some prime times on ABC throughout. And I think when Leonard finally won the title against Benitez, it was too. By the way, just as an aside here, they've announced an Olympic schedule for 2028 without boxing right now. So you talk about a sport that's gone. So now that could get reinstated at some point, but Olympic boxing is a sore point for me. It was once a very big deal.
It sure
and
was.
They have bloody ruined the boxing in the Olympics. Bloody ruined it.
They have, and it all trickled down from the top of the alphabet soup of the organizations, and it eventually got everybody.
Yep, and the way they started to score the fights, and it looked more like fencing the way they were doing it. You got to remember, a lot of boxing superstars for a long time, they were launched from the Olympics.
For
and this
sure.
goes back to Joe Frazier, and Floyd Patterson even before that, and Clay Ali, and Joe Frazier, Foreman. De La Hoya is the last one who really got launched from the Olympics,
the
and that's
Spinks
now
brothers.
33 years ago. And the Spinks brothers, sure. Sugar Ray Leonard. But not since De La Hoya, and that's 33 years ago. He's the last real superstar, I think, launched by the Olympics into boxing pro ranks.
Crazy. But we'll get flag football, I guess, if that's anything big.
I'll pass.
Yeah, I think I will too. Talking to Bruce Marshall. He joins us every week from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Bruce, a very limited slate in the NBA tonight, only 3 games. Is there anything there that you like?
Well, it looks like Ja is not going to play tonight for Memphis, and New Orleans is playing better. Now, Zion's not going to play again tonight, and he's only played a few times, and Ingram's been out for about 2 months now. Yeah, and played, since the start of December, but they're winning. So that's kind of interesting. I think the more interesting tonight is Cleveland off a loss has been very good. They've only had 7 losses this season, so they're into Philly, which has lost 7 straight. Embiid is still out. They're not even competitive in recent losses. They are below the cut line for the play-in in the East, never mind the top 6. So this whole season has just gone from bad to worse for Philly, and I'm not sure when Embiid returns. He's not there tonight. So that might be a spot to go with the Cavaliers. You got to lay some points, but I mean, if there's one team that can handle that sort of a spread, and the dynamics, them off a loss, very bitter loss to Houston the other night, I could see them bouncing back really strong in Philly without Embiid tonight.
College basketball this weekend. Anything you like?
Yeah, there's a few actually tonight. I like. Purdue is playing at Michigan. Michigan's playing at Purdue. Michigan is a 3.5, 4-point underdog. Here's the night Matt Painter wishes he still had Zach Edey, because Michigan's coming at him with a couple of 7-footers that Dusty May brought in from the portal, including his kid from FAU, Vladislav Golden. Michigan is very good. Purdue, slight favorite, but the schedule in the Big Ten thus far has broken pretty well for Purdue. Now they're going to have to start playing some heavyweights. I might take Michigan here tonight. Kent State's playing Ohio tonight. Here's a trend for you. Kent State has played 6 MAC games. The road team has won in all 6.
Wow.
Now, they're the visitor tonight, but that sort of backwards, inside-out trend doesn't last forever. Ohio's pretty darn good. I think they can break that trend for Kent State and win tonight. And my special for tonight, under the total, it's about 133, Chicago State at Stonehill. And how about look at Chicago State? They are at almost the bottom of the country in scoring points, 59 per game. They are at the bottom in field goal accuracy, just about 36%. This is the worst team in the country offensively, and there's no way a total should be up in the 130s. This game played 120 about 2 weeks ago, and Chicago State played a game 106 against Fairleigh Dickinson earlier this week. Under Chicago State and Stonehill tonight.
I'll ask this because I might be the only person listening that has already been looking at this game tonight, Chicago State and Stonehill. What about a look at Stonehill at home? Chicago State really a lot of trouble this year. Maybe take it. I think it's about 9 right now. What do you think about maybe Stonehill -9?
Possibly. They did just beat them by 16 less than 2 weeks ago in Chicago. By the way, Chicago State hardly plays any home games. Like all their games are on the road. They're like a SWAC or a MEAC team. In non-conference, at least, and this is their first year in this league too. Yeah. But I think that the under is where I would look the most. You could always make a case against Chicago State; they're only 2-18, but total is where I'd look on the underside first there.
Landon, I am on with animals talking about Chicago State and Stonehill and a breakdown that they lost by 16 2 weeks ago. Bruce, that's incredible that you know that. Here's one. I'm going to Arkansas and Oklahoma tomorrow night in Fayetteville. John Calipari got his first league win. Joe Lenardi says 13 from the SEC. That won't be Arkansas, will it?
I don't think so, unless they get really hot. And Oklahoma's probably there. But you talk about Georgia kicking one away the other night. By the way, you had 3 SEC teams on Wednesday. Ole Miss gave that one away. South Carolina gave that one away against Florida. And Georgia gave that one away against Arkansas. My thought with Cal, real quick, next year he's going to work the portal a little bit differently because I don't know if I'm going to say he's lazy, but he brought a lot of these guys from Kentucky with him who were not necessarily the featured guys at Kentucky, and I think he's relied on them a little bit too much. And and this is a league. If you lose one step there, it's tough. So. Yeah. I'm not sure what goes tomorrow. The big one, of course, Tennessee and Auburn tomorrow. But even without Janae Broom, Auburn still looks pretty good to me. They'll be laying a few points, but I'm not looking to go against them. Might also give Texas A&M a look at Texas tomorrow. They finally get back together, and Texas did have a nice win the other night. But A&M, there's still something about these guys I like, and I think they may steal one in Austin.
Quickly, your favorite NFL head coaching hire so far?
Actually, Pete Carroll.
I love it.
Yeah.
Because I think the Raiders could have gone wrong there.
They usually do.
Yeah, and by the way, all these coordinators who are getting hired, listen, and this goes for Ben Johnson, maybe I was watching Aaron Glenn, Liam Cohn, especially in Jacksonville. Those things, there's a lot of those things turn into Nathaniel Hackett a lot of times too. I'd rather get an established guy who's won, and that's where Carroll comes in. I would say Carroll or Mike Vrabel. I think Vrabel was a great hire by New England. So at this point, I might rather have Vrabel as my coach than Carroll. But just given where the Raiders are at right now, Carroll was a really home run hire.
Yeah, feels like a really good hire for them. Well, Bruce, where can we find more of you?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Check me out online. The old standbys, VegasInsider.com, CBSSportsline.com, Sportsline.com. We got all the picks there. And the new places for picks with a different twist at winnersandwhiners.com and picksandparlays.com.
Bruce, have a great weekend and good luck.
Thank you. You too. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Bruce Marshall with us every Friday, and that searing Chicago State.
Man.
Stonehill?
Stonehill. Oh, NEC action
almost
on a
went Sugar
Friday
Hill.
night.
Like the Sugar Hill game.
I love NEC play. Let me tell you, Long Island University turning into one of my favorite teams to watch. They're undefeated in conference play. I mean, the team that they have up there.
This is what I'm surrounded by.
They're a fun team to watch.
I love it.
Rod Strickland, head coach.
Look, I just stick with Hawaii, so I don't know.
Hawaii and Stonehill.
That's right.
We've got it covered. The best thing about a new year is getting something new to drive, and you can get that at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, where all the Silverados are. Get $1,500 in extra savings when you trade in a 2011 or newer passenger car or light-duty truck. 1.9 financing on new Blazers or 2.9 with no payments for 90 days on a new Equinox. You can be payment-free until April. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star if you're law enforcement, educator, recent grad, military, healthcare worker, first responder. Instant extra $500 off. Nobody has the certified and pre-owns like All-Star. Silverados, Nissan, Sierra trucks, Fords, Toyotas, Jeeps, and you got to drive that red Corvette Stingray. And if you got any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star in Olive Branch and get the most money back for it today and into this weekend. Together, let's drive to All-Star Chevy for the fresh start sale going on now in Olive Branch to start 2025. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, let's get to another break. When we return, talking some Razorbacks and the SEC with Ty Richardson.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Exercise. The exercise coach is ready for you. Strength training only takes 20 minutes twice a week with special computerized exercise equipment designed to maximize your workouts and minimize your time. An exercise coach gives you personal workouts by one-on-one with a trainer. Check out the exercise coach at exercisecoach.com/Lakeland or injury or knowledge.
Elwood Shack in the Lowe's parking lot on summer just keeps getting bigger and better. Bigger because now there's a second Elwood Shack at 4040 Park across from the University of Memphis. And better because you can get breakfast every day at both Elwoods. There's the barbecue breakfast burrito, either beef brisket or pork shoulder, and pancake biscuits made fresh daily. Real house-made pancakes, apple and bacon, French toast, and more. And the new Elwood even has a real coffee bar serving fresh roasted J. Brooks coffee. Elwood Shack, now with 2 locations and open every day for you.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five-Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
New year, year, new savings during the Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat Start Something New sales event on the pike. We got it covered in 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer L Series 3, $23,156 off MSRP and 0% for 36, or 3.9 for 72 months is available. 2023 Jeep Renegade Upland 4-wheel drive Sport, $309 a month. Buy it for $23,723. And power up in 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn, $13,758 off MSRP or $629 a month. Plus all 2023 models, you can save up to $16,906 off. So drive past the rest, come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat. Online, GossettMotorCars.net. If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motorcars.
331 MSRP 123,155. Renegade Triple P 57,256 MSRP 31,095. Ram SN 544,525 MSRP 56,825. Includes all rebates and incentives and excludes PF 695. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Dealer stock only.
Online radio show is on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with the NC Porter with 24/7 sports. Your Ole Miss defensive captain Mike Fitzsimmons. Gordon Moore covering SEC sports. And former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Garvey from kickoff to first throw to extra innings. Your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show. Right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon, MPD on the scene of a couple of accidents. Seems like it took forever to clean up that wreck. 55 northbound on-ramp at Brooks and Elvis Presley. It's building pretty good through the Midtown area. It's just that time of the afternoon for that to happen. On 240 southbound at South Parkway, it's busy, but it's moving at the moment. 240 as you get on to 385 Billmore Parkway going outbound towards Collierville. Weimer's Jewelry, conveniently located 7525 Highway 64, is your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Time to talk Razorbacks on Sports Time. Joining the guys is Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas to talk all things Hogs and SEC. On Twitter X at Ty Sports Radio, here's Ty Richardson with Bryant and Brett.
Come on, all you Razorback fans, let's stand up and call those Hogs!
All right, back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we're trying to get a hold of Ty Richardson to talk the Razorbacks from ESPN Arkansas in Fort Smith. He's with us every week.
Coming off a win. Come on, Ty.
Yeah, it's first time in conference play we've been able to talk about a win. They were winners in that game earlier this week. Against Georgia, a home game against Georgia, one that came, 68-66 in the final seconds. We talked about it earlier, kind of one of those games where it was the, all night in the SEC was last-second wins for all of these teams. Arkansas benefited from that, but it gets tough tomorrow night at home against Oklahoma, an Oklahoma team that has struggled a little bit in conference play, but has been a good team in non-conference. But Oklahoma team also coming off of a win, their first win in conference play over South Carolina, so it should be a fun game tomorrow night in Fayetteville when these two teams face off 7:30 on ESPN2.
It will be a good game tomorrow night. Arkansas needs to string together some wins. There have been few and far between out there for them, but got that win the other night. A little bit in gift wrap style, but they've been on the short end of some of those too. And I do think in the end it kind of all evens out. And what kind of reaction will Oklahoma get first time into Bud Walton Arena as a member of the Southeastern Conference? They've been there in some non-conference. Not many times, I don't think. A lot of times that game when they would play, that would be neutral, not so neutral Tulsa. But tomorrow night for Arkansas, definitely got to get a lot of things strung together and get some wins going.
Yeah, and both these teams really needing wins. Both teams only one win in conference play. We got Ty Richardson now with us from ESPN Arkansas. Talk the Razorbacks in the SEC. Ty, as always, thanks so much for joining us. And a win for the Razorbacks, their first win in conference play earlier this week. Only led for a couple seconds there late, but a win's a win.
All that matters.
Yeah, and you guys are right. If you guys watched the Florida and South Carolina game, the A&M and Ole Miss game, very similar circumstances. So I guess it was just that way. I mean, what a night for Wednesday night basketball. Guys, by the way, I don't know what my phone's doing. It's not letting me call or anything, so sorry about that.
We got it on both ends. Let's put you on hold and you try back, okay, Ty?
Okay.
Okay, very good. And the games Wednesday night were all nail-biters, and I think that's the way it's going to be the rest of the year in the SEC. And I don't want to start this too early. I know Lenardi, all the bracketologists out there with double-digit bids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid it's a little bit like football was this year. Yeah. It's really, 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 really good, but is it a championship team in there? Auburn with a healthy Broom.
Yeah.
It's Tennessee. I think you think Tennessee may be Final. Can you think Tennessee Final Four even?
I mean, I think Final Four, but I don't know outside of that.
Florida?
No.
I think a couple of Elite Eights.
Sure.
And the test for me is going to be, okay, SEC, Ty, we got you back, and I want to see what you think of this.
Sounds better now.
SEC, let's say the SEC gets 11 in. I think that will settle down from the 12 and 13. Let's say 11. Ty, for it to be successful, I think that first game, that Thursday and Friday, that needs to be 11-0 or 10-1. Or we've had a gob of teams, but not any real go for it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and you just forgot about Tennessee. I think they're going to win tomorrow night in Auburn, guys. I don't know as far as their tournament chances, but I know Bruce Pearl's on radio this week talking about Janai Broom. He's close to being back, but Tennessee just goes on these lulls, and they've been that way under Barnes. We're a really good defensive team, but every once in a while that offense just gets stagnant, and they can't throw in the ocean, and that kills them in tournament play. So I don't know if they get over the hump. That's what got Alabama over the hump last year is North Carolina just couldn't stop them. And I think a lot of these teams, like it's either the Ken Palm or whatever, you have to hit a certain threshold of top 20 offensive efficiency, and that's been like 19 of the last 20 national championships. So I don't think Tennessee has enough offense to get over the hump, guys, unfortunately.
I will take Bruce Pearl over Rick Barnes every time.
Good coach, man. I think about what Auburn basketball was. You think about Charles Barkley, Chuck Persons. Who else do you think of Auburn basketball? I can't think of anyone else. Stats. You probably know way more than I do.
Had a Sweet 16 in there in 2003. Got knocked out by eventual champ Carmelo Anthony in Syracuse, but it had been lean for a lot of years. A lot of individual good players, but not a lot of great teams.
Yeah, and now maybe the two best teams of the sport. It's not football season, by the way, are residing in Alabama and Auburn and Tuscaloosa. It was nice, Stats and Bryant. It was nice when football season ended and you didn't have to worry about what the Tigers and the Crimson Tide were doing because it was basketball and baseball season.
Yeah.
And now they're top dogs in basketball. It's just kind of annoying.
Well, let me ask you, since Arkansas did the same thing, Ole Miss played neither one of them this year in football. I'm going to ask you first. Did you miss playing them? Arkansas played Auburn, though. Did you miss playing Bama?
No.
I didn't miss either one.
I wanted to see that. I think Ole Miss would have beat Bama this year. And, in fact, I think they would have beat them like Cherokee Drum. I mean, Alabama's still up and down this season. I know Ole Miss to a certain degree wasn't
Boy,
well.
Ty, I got to see it because I got a big old history book against it.
That's true, and you would know more than anyone else. But I didn't miss playing. Like I got a chance to go to Bryant-Denny 2 years ago. Watched Arkansas.
Razorbacks should have won. Could have won.
Yeah, they could have won. Didn't, per usual. Never beat Nick Saban since he got there in 2007. But no, I didn't miss playing Alabama at all. Auburn, love Auburn. That is the most lifeable university in the Southeastern Conference. I will always treasure going to that school and seeing the scenery and getting during there. But not Alabama.
Great town, great folk. I think the best student section, and I'm going to say this, I don't mean it at all, it's just a fact. I don't mean it at all chauvinist. I think the best female student body fans of any SEC team.
It's not close.
They're packed, and they're into the game. It feels like they were reared. You're going to be a football fan.
No, you're right. And that what I found out is talking with Auburn girls. One of my buddies is marrying one coming up in April. Is they don't just love Auburn football; they love Auburn. They love Auburn basketball. They love Auburn baseball. I mean, going to an SEC school, Stats, you were the same. I mean, Arkansas girls like Arkansas, but it's not like it's not the same just dog mentality that a lot of the guys have about the sports. But the girls that I met there it was insane how much they knew this player, this player, this player.
They know their stuff.
And it was wild.
They are very engaged fans.
There's no question about that.
And Toomer's Corner and all that, really good. All right, back to basketball. Tomorrow night, can Arkansas make it 2 in a row?
I think they win tomorrow night. I'm not betting nickel on that game in Lexington next week. I think Kentucky's probably going to be favored by like 8 or 9. Maybe that's too high. But it will be nuts. But no, I think they win. Oklahoma, they had a great non-conference. They won in the Bahamas, if I remember that right.
Mm-hmm.
But they've kind of reeled since then. One SEC win like Arkansas. Guys, what I'm interested in is, when like SEC football, the buys didn't really help every team. I'm curious if like this midweek layoff that Oklahoma has and Arkansas has next week, what the impact is on that throughout the season. We'll see how it affects the Sooners this week. We'll see how it affects the Razorbacks next week. But I'm curious if just not having that midweek game, if that's a help or if it hurts you ultimately when you play at a road game like both teams have this weekend and next weekend.
And everybody's so good right now, you would think the team that maybe is struggling, they needed that break, and the teams that are going well, they didn't want to take any break. Keep playing.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there. And Arkansas, they get this win, they get some rest, get their legs under them. But, both teams trying to get that second win in SEC play. We'll see if it's Crimson and White or Cardinal and White tomorrow night.
That's right. Well, Ty, we saw the news earlier this week. Boogie Flan going to be out for the remainder of the season with a hand injury. Brett and I have kind of tossed back and forth how serious we think this hand injury is.
You tell us, or is Boogie just getting out of town?
Yeah, what do you think on that?
Yeah, and I think it'd be irresponsible for me to say, like, oh, he's thinking it, or because
this is the show for irresponsibility, Ty. we're the definition of irresponsibility.
We're gambling on Stonehill tonight over here, Ty. So
and Chicago State.
Yeah, so everything goes.
Me and Brian are young millennials. We make irresponsible things all the time.
Right.
I just think it was odd that they won their first game without him, and that's a trend. You guys have heard of the Patrick Ewing theory, where like sometimes when a good player gets hurt somehow, some way, it helps the team. And I don't know if that's what we're going to see here. Listen, I like watching Boogie play. He can't shoot. Pre-injury, he couldn't shoot in the SEC.
Yeah.
And so that's like a concern for the next level, which I don't think he'll come back to school next year. I hope he wish him success. But, Arkansas fans are disappointed. And with today's age in NIL, let's say you invested, if you're John Tyson, Warren Stevens, or anyone else that invested with NIL, Arkansas basketball, and not only are you disappointed with how the season's gone thus far, but like one of the players that's probably getting a good chunk of that change is out for the year. And it's probably, I don't know how every contract works, but I'm going to assume he's still making money. That's it's just, NIL is so, it's behind the scenes, and then stuff happens like this, and you're frustrated, so... but it's the world of college athletics we're at right now, boys.
Think about the reports out there of what the Hunt family paid the player that went to Texas, or went to G League, didn't go anywhere. They just didn't want him going to Texas, and now what reported been paid to Boogie Flan by them. Now I know they largely don't. I wouldn't think they miss that money. It feels like they have so much, but it's got to irritate you. And I think that you can hear that kind of irritation with you. Are the fans irritated by it?
Yeah, I think so. Because again, you just don't know. Like you get told, "Hey, successful surgery, everything," but then like when fans ask about injuries, and then the schools, and this is just Arkansas, but they hide behind HIPAA and say we can't disclose this, we can't disclose that. And so fans are like, okay, then we're going to assume the worst. we're assuming this guy quit or this guy did that. Now,
Right.
again,
Or you tell us more, we're going to assume the worst. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Like there was a press release and talked about successful surgery he had up in New York and everything else. But I mean, speculation is just going to happen with so much. Like you can't get mad at fans for assuming the worst when all this stuff is not disclosed publicly.
Why
It's
was
not
the
like-
surgery in New York? They're really good orthopedists and hand doctors in Northwest Arkansas.
I got no idea. I don't know if it's family doctor or whatever the case may be, but you just this is not just a Boogie Flan thing. It's just a college sports thing now today and age. Injuries, guys not playing. You just raise your eyebrows. Like 25 years ago, if a guy couldn't play, you weren't raising your eyebrows. That guy would like kill to be out there. That guy would kill to be out there. But now it's just like anytime you see anything like this, you question it more than you ever have when you've been listening and watching sports. I don't think it's close. That's you tell me if I'm wrong.
You are right on. And here's another one that it's natural for people to speculate and wonder about because we hear some of the horror stories out there, whether it's for motivation or lack of production. I think a lot of guys check out a little bit because the check's not showing up. People, they're being cut off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the UNLV QB is a perfect example. Your team is undefeated, and evidently you're not getting paid what you're told, which, to be fair, like, that's fine. For me, like, if I sign this contract at my radio station and you guys at Sports 56 and you guys weren't getting paid, I'd be hacked off too. But it's a situation where just again you don't know what's true, what's not, what's being reported as false, fact, and that's why again there's rampant speculation that happens from fans or media members or anyone else, and then universities and coaches and players get mad. It's like you don't tell us anything. So how are we're trying to scrape together ideas and hints here and there, and frankly, like we don't know what's going on behind the scenes because there is nothing that's being revealed. You can't get mad at fans for wanting to know truths on injuries or anything else.
Very well said. Do you think John Calipari has gotten a tough question, a probing, tough question this year from the Arkansas media?
Not since Bob passed away, unfortunately. And I mean, there's obviously there's 1,000 other things to worry about when someone. I mean, Bob Holt for those. I don't know if if there'd be a comparison. Stats in Memphis, just a longtime sports writer, highly respected by readers and his peers and everyone else. That's what Bob was, and Bob was to anyone. Bob would ask it to Saban, he'd ask it to Cal, he'd ask it to Pittman. He didn't care. He didn't care who was on the quote
Football or basketball. Yep.
Yeah, it was just, hey, this is what fans want to know. This is the story I'm writing about. What's the answer to this question? After game, like post games or any losses. Bob was just, and he was fair. He was kind about it. He was never like obtuse or anything like that.
Never combative.
Yeah, never combative or anything like that. But he asked the questions that need to be asked, and I think again, there's such this. It's like a moat almost around and Cal, and he just does like he answers what he wants to answer and says what he wants to say. And he did that in Lexington. I'm guessing he did that in Memphis. And he does that in Fayetteville. But I mean, there is no legitimate excuse to having that either the top or one of the top budgets in IL in college basketball and for them to be this bad. You can't spin that any way. As the athletics department, as John Calipari, as staff, you recruited, you evaluated the players, and they're this bad. So you should take it on the chin. Now, I don't know if I hope it's not like this next year, because then that's right. You guys are just going to get a sulky Ty Richardson all in 2026. But for at least in 2025, I mean, it's on Cal, and there's no one else that really deserves the lion's share of the plan outside of John Calipari.
Yeah.
That's straight as a pen answer right there. Thank you, Ty.
Sure is, yeah. Well, we'll see what they can do tomorrow night against Oklahoma. Should be a fun one. Ty, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next Friday.
Absolutely, guys. I'm going to go yell at AT&T for my phone not working. Thanks, fellas.
All good. Thank you, man.
Ty Richardson joining us from ESPN Arkansas out in Fort Smith talking about the Razorbacks and the SEC. So,
do you think Arkansas can go back-to-back?
Maybe.
I got to see it.
Yeah.
Before where I think this is a roll.
Yeah.
They got handed that game.
They did. And I don't think – I think Oklahoma's a good team. I think they've struggled in SEC play, but I think when they play a team like Arkansas, I know it's a road game, but that's a good opportunity for them to bounce back.
And a Final Four coach, and not just a Final Four coach, but a Final Four at Loyola.
Yeah, no, he's a terrific coach.
And I said that to a friend of mine at the Grizzlies game the other night, and I said, boy, Sister Jean, she got him on the roll back then, didn't she? And then one of us said like it was past tense, and then we both started laughing. No, she's still on a roll.
No, yeah, she's still rocking and rolling.
Sister Jean's still doing it.
She's still doing her thing, which is good for her. I mean, she's still at every single game, fun to watch. But we'll see who can get the win tomorrow night in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. Both teams looking for their second win in SEC play. Let's get to another break. When we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't the only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for a limited range time. Free gun rentals with purchase of ammo and members lounge access. Top Gun, 2770 Witten Road, TopGunMemphis.com. Always ship with the best. Top Gun Memphis. All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, EV6, 36-month lease, RU 621,425, 36-month lease, MSRP 55,820, K4 SEO 64,461, MSRP 24,715, Telluride SG 596,204, MSRP 41,060, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through KFA, excludes tax title and license with approved credit, dealer stock only, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 1/31/24.
I got Jeff Allen on the line. He's doing numbers I've never heard of before at Gossen Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Randy, when's the last time you heard of a new ride at $163 a month with electric EPA range of estimate 310? I got it in a 2024 Kia EV6, $63.96 due at signing, 36-month lease. Or a 2025 K4 GT Line, $206 a month, $34.99 due at signing, 24-month lease. 2025 Telluride S front-wheel drive, $398 per month, $39.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
And every Gossett Kia comes with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Sports and Mexican food. You can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games and all the TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with reservations from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $4.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, my big number today is 35. That's how many points Nikola Jokic had last night in a truly remarkable performance from the center. If you looked up this morning who led the NBA last night in points, it would be Nikola Jokic with 35. If you looked up who led the league in rebounds last night, it would also be Nikola Jokic with 22. If you looked up the leader for assists, it would also, in fact, be Nikola Jokic with 17 assists. He finished the game last night, 35 points, 22 rebounds, 17 assists, 2 block shots, 1 steal, 5 fouls, 12 for 19 shooting in 37 minutes of action. He's the first player in NBA history to lead all players in points, rebounds, and assists in a day with at least 8 games on the slate. It was incredible watching him do what he did last night.
Every night.
It is a constant thing. Makes
it look easy. My big number is the number 9. The Eagles' 9th conference championship game coming up on Sunday. They are 4-4 all time. Now, remember, some of those, that was the NFL's version of the Super Bowl, just the NFL championship long before the AFL and the Super Bowl itself. Their first one was in 1947 against the Chicago Cardinals on the south side of Chicago at Comiskey Park.
Wow.
O'Greasy Neal was head coach.
Oh, man. Okay.
They rematched the next year.
Huh. Wow. That's something.
O'Greasy Neal.
O'Greasy. Huh. I love old nicknames. They're fantastic.
In fact, the Eagles' very first playoff game against what is now known as the Washington Commanders came in 1934. No, very first game, not playoffs, just first meeting, 1934. Philadelphia Eagles at the Boston Redskins.
Love it. Oh, Boston Redskins.
Where was that played?
Oh, boy.
Got to be Fenway. Fenway Park,
wow.
Boston.
Wow. That is remarkable.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Coach for Boston, 3 names.
Oh, jeez.
Lone Star Dietz.
Lone Star.
Coach for the Eagles, Lud Ray.
Oh, Lud.
I mean, when you're Lud, you got the least best name against Lone Star.
I mean, hey, that is in terms of coach names, that is a heavyweight battle right there. Lud and Lone Star. Something else about Nikola Jokic that I just noticed and something to keep an eye on. Obviously, a lot of time left to play for the season. A lot of games left to play. We're not even to All-Star break yet. But currently averaging a triple-double, 30.2 points per game, 13.4 rebounds per game, 10.1 assists per game. If he can keep that up, that would be truly remarkable to see a center accomplish that feat.
Do you want to weigh in on the Embiid versus Jokic?
Not really.
It's not even close who's best.
No.
In no world is Embiid better.
No, and I mean he's starting to get with what we were talking about with Zion. He's never out there.
The whole availability thing.
I mean, Jokic is doing this every night. He steps on the floor, and when's the last time we've seen Embiid? You're just not seeing him. So it's a fun debate if both of them were playing, but what Nikola Jokic is doing is unbelievable to watch from a center position. But we need to go ahead and wrap up this hour, and when we return, we're talking Tiger basketball. The basketball beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal, Jason Munns, he joins us next. And as always, he's presented each and every week by our friends over at Jim's Place Grill in Collierville. Don't go anywhere. Jason Munns, he joins us next.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous?
Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's Now available in the 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or at our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family of families still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
High-efficiency planting solution. The Case IH 2150 early riser planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a run-and-roll unit for fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 early riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in and call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH equipment headquarters.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym. Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get. You lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me. I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real? Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tessenor, which helps boost free or total testosterone levels and help you trim up and stay lean. And it's made a difference for you. Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. Work in the gym and in the bedroom. Are they still getting more complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves? Yeah, you just need to send them a text. Text Spike to 321321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text DIKE to 321321. That's Spike to 321321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Mid-South, it's time for a new year and a new ride from Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Get 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage, a perfect compact hatchback for commutes, getaways, and just about everything else for $299 a month. Or buy Mirage for $18,410, gets 43 mpg highway. Or take your pick from 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid PHEV, named 2025 Family Green Car of the Year for 3 straight years. Or 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander, now just $399 a month. Plus, get peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today to start your year off right. 1870 Covington Pike and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Mirage RHO 15630, MSRP 18410, PHEV RZO 66681, MSRP 42750, Outlander RZO 88655, MSRP 32770. Includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Benswinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Benswinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Benswinger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit BenswingerGlass.com. Benswinger Glass.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jack Weiler and Rover Bluff City. Once again,
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something I don't understand.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk some Tiger basketball, Jason Munns, the Tiger basketball beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. As always, he's presented by Jim's Place Grill in Collierville. Well, Jason, last night was another weird one for the Tigers. They only lead for 12 minutes and 49 seconds throughout the entire game, but they led at the end. They get the win. That's what matters. What jumped out to you about last night's game?
Well, in so much as it was a game of basketball, I mean, it was just a really, really, really difficult watch for 30-ish minutes, maybe 28 minutes. It was, like it started to resemble actual basketball around the 15, 14-minute mark left in the game. So that was kind of what stood out to me more than anything. I mean, like you're talking about a game where Memphis committed 14 turnovers in the first half. Wichita committed 9 turnovers in the first half. By the time the game was over, they had combined to turn the ball over 42 times. If I ask you how many combined field goals they made, would you be able to hazard a guess?
I couldn't.
No.
44 combined made field goals and 42 combined turnovers in a 40-minute Division I college basketball game. Almost as many turnovers as there were made field goals. It was not pretty. It was
for
a very, very.
The Tigers can't play like that again this year against anyone, can they?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe Tulsa's not very good. UTSA is not very good.
But on the road at UTSA, isn't it?
Yeah. It's on the road at UTSA, and you get Tulsa at home. So I'm not going to say that. The AAC is what the AAC is. So I cannot definitively say that if they play that way again, if Memphis plays that way again, it's going to cost them. It's going to wind up in a loss. I mean, like, listen, I looked this up. So Memphis had 6 assists last night. Just 6. The last time they had that few assists in a single game was December 2019 in Knoxville. If you recall, Memphis won that game too. 6 assists seems to be a magic number. Undefeated in the last 6 years with 6 assists or fewer.
Wouldn't recommend that though.
No. You wouldn't. And then the other thing is, I looked this up today. Memphis was minus 14 in the assist to turnover column. That's not even the lowest in the last 2 seasons. 2 seasons ago, 2023, in a game against UCF at FedEx Forum, Memphis had 8 assists and 24 turnovers, and guess what? They won that game too. It's crazy. It is wild to think about when they play that poorly, and yet they still win. But that's the moral of this story, at least in terms of what happened last night. Memphis won the game. They did not drop in the predictive metrics rankings. The net is still 42, and Ken Palm is still 40, same as it was before the game. So, it was not pretty, but it's tough to quibble with.
I started today with a win is a win until it's a loss, and left-hand column really matters. And Jason, the committee, I'm hoping, I think at the top, I know at the top, I like the chair, Bubba Cunningham, the athletics director at North Carolina, but I'm hoping the rest of the committee is as vacuous as most committee members usually are on that selection committee, and they just look at the left-hand column and the high points.
I think, so most of the bracketologists update a couple times a week now. Usually on Tuesdays and Fridays. Lunardi updated his today, moved Memphis from a projected 6 seed to a projected 5. Kept them. I think he had him as a 5 seed. Kept him as a 5 seed. Jerry Palm over at CBS Sports moved him from a 6 to a 5. Dave Amman over at Bracketville, I think also kept Memphis as a 5. So the point is, the people who do this for a living, who project, who try to predict what the committee, the selection committee, the seating, with the seating and stuff, they think that despite what has happened over the last 2 or 3 weeks with Memphis, where it just hasn't looked very good,
everything's fine.
It's been a struggle. They still think that the committee is going to, the positive, the pros are going to outweigh the cons. And the pros are still very, very, very pro. Memphis, I looked at, if you're looking at Lunardi's projected bracket today, Memphis is 5-2 against the field. 5-2, 5 wins against the field. The two losses are going to be probably the number 1 overall seed Auburn on a neutral floor, and then the home loss to Mississippi State. And of course, they still got 10 combined quad 1 and 2 wins, which I think, as it stands today, I believe there are still only 2 teams with more wins inside the first 2 quadrants. That's Auburn and Alabama. So from a resume standpoint, and it's like the teams that Memphis beat earlier this year that were really, really impressive at the time, they're still really, really impressive. Michigan State has not lost since Memphis beat them in Hawaii.
How about that?
That's just crazy. And UConn is, it's
UConn, yeah.
It's fine. They're not hurting you. UConn is not hurting you. Ole Miss is not hurting you. Ole Miss is actually helping you. Missouri's helping you. Clemson is Clemson's 16-4. I don't know if anybody's noticed that.
And that was on the road.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very quietly, Clemson is 16-4, and so you look.
So why
you
the
like
bubbling discontent then?
Because it looks bad, and I think what people still have the, people have the flashbacks to last season when Memphis.
We never forget as sports fans, do we? I mean, sports fans are all totally conflicted with PTSD.
You're right. But if you recall, even before the 4-game losing streak last season that started the implosion, it was not looking great. You needed last-second shots to beat Tulsa and UTSA.
The warning signs were there. So
yeah,
are these bright, flashing warning signs that we're in the middle of?
Well, we don't. It remains to be seen. You know what I mean? I think that's why there is the discontent, is because if you are looking at these last few games, the one last night, the one against East Carolina where you only won by 4 at home, the Temple loss, if you're looking at those games as harbingers of things to come, well then you're on the edge of your seat thinking, when's the bottom going to fall out? When,
and then we come back to that yet word from last week, yet.
Yeah, right. Yes, that was. I asked Penny after the Temple loss, are you worried? And he said, I'm not worried yet. And you know what? You should have seen him last night. He was not. He is keeping his chin up despite the 20 turnovers, despite the close call against a pretty bad Wichita State team. He is still keeping his chin high, and still has resolve. He walked into that press conference and said, "I know exactly what we need to do." He said it on with Dave Woloshin on the post-game radio interview that he's been coaching this team the wrong way, that he's going to fix that going into the UAB game, and he knows exactly how to fix it. And who am I to say that he's not going to snap his fingers?
That's right.
And wave the
he knows
magic
more
wand?
about it than I do.
Sure. But I need to see it. I put in my score prediction earlier today. I think Memphis is going to win, but I predicted I think I predicted a 3-point win for Memphis.
But that's a terrific win over this team. That it is.
It would be.
It may be Andy Kennedy's Super Bowl more than it is UAB and UAB fan Super Bowl.
How about that? Yeah. I forget what his exact quote was.
He wanted this one when he was at Ole Miss, and he came from his upbringing as Bob Huggins that lived to make Memphis miserable.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's got that. That's worked into his DNA. But I went back and watched the clip of him getting ejected at FedEx Forum last year, and it was,
he lost his mind.
Well, I remember it, like when I watched the clip, I remembered it then, but I had forgotten up until that point just how nuclear he went. And how, like, he was pushing his own assistants who were trying to hold him back from going
he
and
was
getting
about
his
to
hands.
lose his career there.
He might have. I mean, who knows if nobody had gotten in his way.
And for a wild and
really
crazy guy, I'd never seen him that nuts.
Yeah, and so I need to look at exactly what he said, because our my colleague, my coworker at the Commercial Appeal, Jonah Dillon, our Tiger football writer, who's helping me out. Now that football season's over, he's doing a little bit more basketball, and he talked to Andy yesterday. His exact quote to Jonah yesterday was, "Hopefully, I can stick around for the full 40 minutes this year." So he's kind of taking a lighthearted approach to coming in here, but no, they're going to come in here all business. Like, they've won 5 in a row and 7 of the last 8. We can talk about how they're not beating anybody good, and how even their wins aren't don't look good either. They survived the other night against a bad UTSA team. Beat them by 3. But you know what? Like, they've got the preseason favorite for Player of the Year, Axel Lindeborg. Who, did you guys know this? He is averaging, since conference play started, he's averaging, he's a great scorer, fantastic rebounder. He's top, I think, 10 in the country in rebounding. He is averaging 6 assists per game since conference play started. And for the season, he's averaging 4.5 assists. He leads UAB in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. He's pretty darn good, and he's coming in here Sunday.
He is really good, and it feels like this Tiger front court has trouble when they face dominant big man. And when you look at a guy like Axel Lindeborg, who gave Memphis trouble last year, that's what really concerns me about Sunday's game, is when you have a guy in here that's known not only for what he can do in this conference, but as a national leader in rebounds and a good scorer. That really worries me for Sunday's game.
Me too, and it should worry anybody who's invested in the Tigers, because and it's not just him. He's got a running mate, Christian Coleman, who's second on the team in scoring and rebounding. He's averaging 7.7 rebounds per game. I'd have to look at it, but I would bet you money that those two guys by themselves, or those two guys are averaging more rebounds per game than anybody on the Memphis team. And so that does not bode well for a team that already struggles to rebound the basketball. But to me, it's less about Axel Lindeborg and more about whether or not Memphis can punch first. I think that's more the key to the game than shutting down Axel Lindeborg or limiting him.
Punch first, inside or outside or overall?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm talking about just starting fast. Like something that they've done very rarely.
Like against Ole Miss.
Yeah, like they did it against Ole Miss. I don't know if they've done it to anybody else. I'd have to go back and really study the box scores, but that's probably the most recent example, the Ole Miss game. Or maybe FAU. FAU, they did it against FAU too. But if they can do that, then I think they're going to be fine. If they can't, then I think you're talking about another dicey, edge of your seat situation. And until, based on what we've seen the last 3 weeks, until Memphis proves us otherwise, you kind of got to expect that.
Jason, I have your answer. No Tiger is averaging more rebounds than either of those two players. P.J. Haggerty leading with 5.6 rebounds per game. About 2 rebounds less than either of those big men for UAB.
Yeah, 2 less than the number 2 guy,
That's right.
and what would that be, 4.5 or so less, or almost 5 less than the leader. It's they're going to have their hands full. But listen, the thing is with offensive rebounding, I think I looked this up earlier today, UAB is 14th in the country in offensive rebounding, or 9th or something like that. They're way up there. That is Like that number grows when the other team isn't making shots. If Memphis can be the Memphis that they were in Maui, if they can be the Memphis they were in Boca Raton, just earlier this month, then you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about, like all the offensive, all the rebounding that UAB can do. So yeah, it's going to be, there's a lot going into this game. Oh, by the way, UAB was the preseason pick to win the conference. You got that subplot.
Added momentum.
So I'm looking forward to it, and it's an early tip and stuff. So it's going to be that's going to add to the feel of it.
This is usually, Jason. This is usually a preseason question coaches get asked, but at this point in the year, I'll ask you in your discernment of it. A lot of times people ask the coach, "Do you like this team?" Do you think right now Penny Hardaway likes this team?
Yeah, I think you had mentioned that, or you had asked me a couple weeks ago. I was just thinking about this earlier today, whether I thought that this was, so it was something along those lines.
Because most everybody's learning to dislike this team.
Yeah, well, and I think the way I answered it when you asked it a couple weeks ago was, like how could it not be that way? Because they're winning, and their outlook for March Madness is great, and so on and so forth. And it still is that. They're still 15-4. Like, we do not need to lose sight of that. They're tied for first in the league. They're 15-4. They're tied for first in the league. They're top 25 in the country. They've, kind of consensus projected number 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. But boy, like, I don't think the answer would be the same today. I don't think that how could he truly like what he's getting out of his team outside of, again, the wins, which,
But that is why we play.
It is. And it carries a ton of weight. But, having a 22-point lead with 4.5 minutes to go in Charlotte and only win by 9, give up a 19-6 run, let Charlotte close the game on a 19-6 run, the getting out-rebounded by 24 against Temple and losing that game by 7, a game you were favored, I think, almost by double digits, if not double digits. The game last night where,
turnovers.
I mean,
did create 22 turnovers, though.
They did. The defense, that's what I'm saying. Like, there are things to like about this team for Penny Hardaway. Like, holding Wichita State to just 53 points, like, that's really, really good. They forced 22 turnovers. That's really, really good. But, man, like, he's being put through the ringer to get these wins. And I would have to imagine that if he had to choose, if he had a choice to go through these pull your hair out nights just about every single night, or go out and just dominate, I think he would choose the domination. Would be my guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, and he still has 2 really electric guards. P.J. Haggerty and Tyrese Hunter were both really good. And I know you wrote about it last night, but what Tyrese Hunter was able to do at the end of that game last night when the Tigers went on that run, I think, 8 of the last 15 points he scored for them.
He did. I mean, and he's kind of done that a couple times, like in this 3-week stretch where he has taken over. And that's kind of what he did last night. What was it? It was I think it might have been the East Carolina game. It was either the East Carolina game or the North Texas game. But I think it was ECU where he hit like he took CJ Walker off the dribble and off the bounce and took him to the hole to kind of seal that game, put that game on ice against ECU pretty late. So he scored 16 points last night, and they needed a lot of those points. And, that's just that to me, he might be the most valuable player on that roster when it's going to matter the most. He seems to have a knack for rising to the moment when it truly matters, when you absolutely have to have it. I mean, again, I've said this a bunch of times to plenty of people. That's a guy who has 6 wins in March in his career. Like in his first 3 seasons, he has 6. He's 6-3 in March, and he's done it at multiple schools. So he's a winner. Mm-hmm. He's a clutch guy, and yeah, I just think that what he is showing us these last few weeks, and not just the last few weeks. We saw it in Maui. We saw it Tyrese Hunter. I think he's not going to score the most points over the course of an entire season. He's going to have his games and so on and so forth. But he's your steady hand. He's the guy that I think is the linchpin to the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. We'll see what this team can do on Sunday, that noon game against UAB. Jason, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next Friday.
And thank you for your great work.
Yeah.
All right, look forward to it, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Jason. Jason Munn's with us every Friday talking Tiger basketball, presented by Jim's Place Grill. Over 100 years of charcoal grill steaks, over 100 years of celebrations, family time, and lasting great memories. The Terrace family with their touch for our community. Recipes that date back to the beginning in downtown to now in Collierville, at the railroad tracks, at Poplar and Houston Levee. It's going to be busy all weekend at Jim's Place, but room for you, whether it's in the bar area, the dining room, for you to eat in the bar area, enjoy the games, you can do that online at jimsplacegrill.com. Don't forget the E in grill. Every steak grilled perfectly over an open flame. Come to Jim's and taste and see and feel the difference. Lunch hours Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Dinner hours Monday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Since 1921, a Memphis landmark with hard work, values, and a dedication to their valuable diners. The Terrace family, they've created that memorable dining experience. The lunch menu, the staples like the souffle mayo, the shrimp cocktail, crab cakes, and the salad dressings, all homemade. And at dinner, the soups, the seafood, the calamari, and the steaks that they are famous for, ribeyes, strips, and fillets. Great bar area, all at Jim's Place Grill in Collierville. Question for you.
Okay.
Could Ashton Hardaway be helping this team? Whose minutes would he get, or is it a no?
I don't think so. I think he would. I mean, he wasn't a great defender. He was really just in there to knock down shots, and
struggled at times with that.
And certainly was young. I think could have improved. But I think with what you see with this bench group, I don't really know whose minutes he would be taking. I mean, maybe you have him in that kind of PJ Carter role. Try to just come in, knock down shots, give you a little defense.
How happy would he be in that role too?
Probably not very much. I want to talk a little bit for a quick second about this game on Sunday and kind of where people are thinking this game could go. But before we do that, we do have a 4-pack of tickets.
Oh yeah,
from Sissy's Log Cabin. Our friends over there, they hook us up with Tiger tickets for pretty much every home game. They're going to give us a 4-pack of tickets for Sunday's game against UAB. If you want to go and support this Tiger team, first caller to the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line, 901-360-8255. That's 901-360-8255. First caller will win 4 tickets to Sunday afternoon's game. I'll ask you first the question, do you think Ashton could help this team?
At times. I don't know about anything consistent.
Yeah, that's...
And the whole minutes allocation.
Yeah.
It's easy to look back.
Certainly. And I mean, it's a good question because, I mean, this team's been a good 3-point shooting team.
I don't really know what prompted me to even ask that.
I think it's a good question. How about Carl Sharonfont? I mean, we can play this game with several guys.
You were my guinea pig. I was scared to ask Jason that because I thought he would think I was an idiot. So now you can think I'm an idiot.
No, certainly not. Here's one thing that I do think is strange. I won't say it's idiotic by either, certainly not Jason Munns, because I trust him a lot more than I trust the score predictor for KenPom. So Sunday's game, Jason once told us, and I went and looked up to see exactly where he had it, he has Memphis winning by 3 points, 86-83, a high-scoring affair against UAB. His reasoning beside it, or I guess his explanation beside another one that will come down to the wire, but the Tigers are simply too talented in this game, and this is a game they will get up for. KenPom. This KenPom website predicts every game, puts a little score beside it. KenPom has Memphis beating UAB by 12 points.
We won't make our Tiger bankroll picks. We'll have to do it off there. We're honest about it. Mm-hmm. I've been riding against Memphis.
And I've been riding with Memphis. And that is going to change. I'll go out and say it. I'm taking UAB.
I think mine's going to change.
I don't know what the number's going to be.
I think a patch of good basketball is ahead for Memphis.
I hope so. I think this is a game that they could easily lose. And so I'm gonna go with UAB.
I'm with the bigger prediction.
I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong and you're right.
I'm gonna guess Memphis favored 2.5, 3 Sunday. We'll add the half point.
Yeah, I'm curious where that line's gonna be.
I can tell you now, I'm taking Memphis.
Yeah. I mean, it might depend if it's
anything under 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I just don't think it'll be that high.
I was about to say, I guess it depends on where the line is. If it's 2 points, I don't know.
And again, my go against is not a one of them been a loss.
Yeah.
Kind of thought maybe at Temple. But everything else, I was against the point spread, but with them winning.
Yeah, and I've been trying to play the I'm too smart game, and it's gotten me every single step along the way.
That's life on the edge.
So maybe it gets me again here against UAB. But let's go ahead, get to a break, and when we return, it'll be time for our First National Bank and Trust Friday football forecast.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe in 2024. We can't wait to serve you.
It's inevitable rain, snow, and ice are coming and will make driving a challenge. Thankfully, the experts at Tire Rack know a thing or two about conquering winter's worst. New tires elevate traction and will keep you safe. Tire Rack sells only the best, like the full line of General tires. Go to TireRack.com/Colin. Build a winter tire and wheel package for do-it-yourself installation. Ship fast and free and backed by 2 years of free road hazard protection. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
As we traverse every mountain from dust mites, dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke, asthma can start from anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed. Sponsored by Armstrong Pharmaceuticals.
Grizz Nation, it's time to get loud for your Memphis Grizzlies tonight at 7 p.m. when they host the New Orleans Pelicans. Arrive early, first 5,000, or receive a Memphis Sounds record player car air freshener. Secure your tickets today at Grizzlies.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again, our Brett Roseway and Brian
Friday football forecast from First National Bank and Trust, a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. Real estate isn't something you purchase or develop or desire. It's something you appreciate, respect, and know. With real estate, there's no gray area. You either know it or you don't. First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas. They've known it since their beginning in 1886. Clients depend on First National Bank because they know real estate. Brooks Winchester, Bill Samish, and many more can assist you in your acquisition of that hunting land, farmland, a construction project. Let First National Bank and Trust make your dreams a reality. 775 Ridge Lake Boulevard, Suite 140 in Memphis, 901-498-5763, or the office in Collierville, or online at fnbtmemphis.com. For commercial real estate, residential construction, or recreational and agriculture financing, let First National Bank and Trust help you. They're a division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, where I have had an account, been a friend, and been a customer my entire life. And they do. They specialize in building friendships and relationships and customer confidence. That's their cornerstone. They've done it forever in Eastern Arkansas and doing it now so well in West Tennessee. And as I've said, a lot of great announcement coming about bigger and better in West Tennessee, but doing it how they have done it forever in Eastern Arkansas at First National Bank and Trust. Only 2 games to pick this week, Bryant. You know, usually on a football Friday we have all the college games and all the pro games. Just 2. It's the conference championship games, and it starts at 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon on Fox. Philadelphia, 6.5-point favorite over Washington. These 2 teams know each other well. They've already met this year twice. This is the rubber match, isn't it?
It sure is, and I think going to be a fun game. You know, we talked about it earlier. Washington has been certainly the story of the postseason, one of the stories of the entire season with what they're doing. New head coach and a rookie quarterback, and looking really, really impressive. But man, in this game, this is a Washington defense that really struggles against the run. We know what Saquon Barkley does on the ground. I saw his highlights from last week going viral, and someone took both of his touchdown runs, very long runs, and put them together and said, tell me, or try to convince somebody that didn't watch this game that this was from the same game. Because the first one, clear field, green grass, everything fine. Second one,
North Pole,
covered in snow.
Ice Station Zero, it was.
Just one of a really cool video to see, because that's how it was, and we talked about it. First quarter, nothing. Second quarter starts, that snow starts coming. So I think Saquon Barkley has a really good game. Again, we talked about his rushing props sitting at 127.5. I will not be touching that, but I do think he has another game where he really gets the ball a lot and takes advantage of it. So I'm going to take the Eagles here minus at 6.5.
2 SEC quarterbacks in this game.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and well, I guess.
And now Jalen Hurts with Oklahoma.
Is a SEC quarterback, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, it used to be the tug of war with Alabama and OU,
not
but
anymore.
Now definitely. How well do these 2 teams know each other? Washington leads this series 90 wins to 86 with 6 ties, but only one postseason matchup ever.
Is that right?
Only one time, and Washington got that.
Yeah, so maybe they can get it again tomorrow. That would certainly be a huge story if if Jaden Daniels could pull this off and get to the Super Bowl, first rookie quarterback to even play in a Super Bowl would be really fun.
I think all the pressure, as Alan Bell said, all on Nick Sirianni and the Eagles. Washington can just cut loose year one of Dan Quinn. Famously was in that Super Bowl as head coach of the Falcons when they blew the big 28-3 lead over New England. Connor, your brother Connor takes Washington plus the points. Darian takes Washington plus the points. I'm going to take Washington plus the points, and I'm right there with Bruce Marshall. His score was 20. What was his score? 30-27.
That's right.
Mine is 28-27.
Oh,
I promise I had it written down even before I knew that Bruce was picking that. I like Jaden Daniels straight up, and maybe my favorite LSU player ever. I just always talk about that game. I saw him in last year, and when I knew that is big time. The world's going to hear about this guy, and really since that launched the Heisman run next year. So Brian, it is up to you for NFL group lock.
No, I'm taking the Eagles. I'm taking them my 6.5. I was asked last night who I was for in both of these games, who I was rooting for both the NFC and AFC.
Both of my picks indicate mine.
I had to really think about who I'm rooting for in the NFC because it's very difficult as a Cowboys fan. I hate both these teams, but I think I hate the Eagles. No, I know I hate the Eagles more than I hate the Commanders. So I'll be rooting for the Commanders, but I'm going to be picking the Eagles. I
will be fine if Philadelphia wins for our friend Pat Donahue at the Rendezvous.
Mm-hmm.
Huge Eagles fan. So if they win, they win. I had a good friend of mine, friends with Pat as well, that worked at FedEx in sports marketing. She's a huge Washington fan, been all her life. Second game, 5:30 on CBS. Kansas City, what's new? They're in the playoffs. They're in the AFC Championship game again. 2.5-point favorite over Buffalo. These quarterbacks, the story. These coaches are the stories. The no love lost between these two. Only have met, not anything close to Philadelphia and Washington. Buffalo leads all time 30-25-1, but Buffalo also leads in the postseason 4-2.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good matchup. It's the game I'm looking forward to the most out of these two because you have those two dominant quarterbacks, and you've got on one side the dynasty looking to get back on that road, trying to three-peat as Super Bowl champs. On the other side, you've got this quarterback that the only knock on him has been the lack of postseason success, and he has that opportunity, one win away from being in the Super Bowl. And it feels like with what he has around him, the way he's playing right now, this is the golden opportunity to get to that Super Bowl. So no, this is going to be a really fun game.
And let me correct myself. Kansas City leads 4-2.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Buffalo. I got to get this right. Buffalo. They lead 4-2.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Very sorry. Buffalo leads all time 4-2. And these are old AFL teams. Back to the first meeting. Dallas Texans against Buffalo Bills.
Wow. Ugh. Got a lot of throwbacks today. Some weird, weird team names and everything.
They don't. But if they did, what's TV and the NFL corporate office Super Bowl dream matchup? They're not making one call about that. We're all going to freak out the first time somebody that sneezes on Patrick Mahomes. But who do you think TV what would it prefer?
They want the Chiefs in there, and
because of the Swifties.
I would say they want the Chiefs, and they want three-peat. I mean, that's a great story in and of itself. I don't know. I think they might want the Commanders. I mean, the storylines are all over the place. Fresh,
old guard team,
rookie quarterback. I mean, I think because this isn't. We talk about baseball and who does Major League Baseball want in the World Series. Well, they want the biggest markets. Super Bowl they don't care about the markets. Everybody's going to watch Super Bowl, and so I think more storylines it'd be Kansas City and Washington.
And you know somebody I just mentioned, two fans of the NFC. Everybody in these playoffs, there are a lot of fans of those teams in Memphis.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it. You're at
that poor girl.
Yeah, and you're all dressed up in all the Bills gear.
On Tuesday night, she was sweating.
Yeah, well, the Kansas City Chiefs will do that to you. Patrick Mahomes will do that to you.
He should do it to you. All right, I'm going to take Buffalo to win the game, 27-23. Give me the 2.5, and I'm fine by that. Darian takes Buffalo. Who do you take, Bryant?
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City until the dynasty falls in games
Dacus
like
brothers
this.
Both take it.
Yeah, it's just one of those default
Connor
things. You got to. I'm going to be rooting for the Bills in this game, which is weird. Both my picks, I'll be rooting for the other team. But as long as that dynasty is still there, until they show me otherwise, it's just a default. You gotta lean to them.
All right. Alan Bell said as long as Kansas City keeps Mahomes, there won't be any ding-dong, the dynasty's over.
Yeah.
I think there will be some talking diminished, but how diminished are you when you have two losses?
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy question because now I don't think you can talk about dynasty dying or is this the end when they've made it to the championship game? They're one game away. They've been so good, but it's kind of back to last year and this season where last year all the talk was, well, they can't win the Super Bowl. They can't get there because they don't have any receivers. It's a terrible position group. Now this year it's been they can't win by wide enough margins. And so it always feels like there's something with this Chiefs team that people try to reel them back, but they're always right here in great opportunities.
And I'm fine by whatever combination it falls out for Super Bowl, but I want Buffalo. Long tortured team and fans.
It'd be fun.
And Washington, because of Daniel Snyder, they've been tortured a long time, but a lot of success prior to that when Jack Kent Cook owned them.
And that Buffalo fan base is awesome. I mean, it's like the default, it's an NFL Sunday because you wake up and you see videos from Buffalo.
There go the tables.
Getting after it.
Yeah.
And so it would
and they're
be.
getting after it.
They sure are. So it would be fun to see, that fan base be able to experience, a Super Bowl because they haven't been able to in a while.
That's our picks on this Friday afternoon for the championship games coming up on Sunday. Thank you so much to First National Bank and Trust, a proud division of First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas, all season long with our Friday football forecast. For real estate, whether it's commercial, agriculture, hunting, recreational, contact them at fnbt.com or call them at 901-498-5763. They are stable, secure, solid, reliable, and consistent through all these years.
I've been looking around since we talked to Jason at kind of, not everybody, but just kind of what some of the brackets have. I know we talked to our friend Kevin Sweeney yesterday. We talked about his bracket where he has Memphis. He also does work with the Field of 68. They had a bracket show today that had Memphis on the 5 line. I'm looking at our friend Shelby Mass that will start joining us here in a couple of weeks. He has Memphis on the 5 line right now. We talked about Lenardi earlier. It looks like everybody, Jerry Palm has Memphis on the 5 line. Seems like a lot of people are right there with Memphis on the 5. I'm trying to see where Shelby Mast. He has them playing Drake in the first game, which would be a
scary game.
That would be a heck of a 5-12 matchup, Memphis versus Drake. But I'm seeing a lot of Memphis and McNeese, which we've talked about. I think that's what.
And you know who that is.
Old Will Wade.
The answer to every open coaching problem.
Yes, it's
no thanks.
Go get Will Wade. But before we get to our final break of the day, let me remind you about our 5 o'clock sponsors. It's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com, but go out and test drive these beautiful new models. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, let's get to our final break. When we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
They're finally gone. The holidays are over and your relatives have finally gone back to where they live, and you're free to live the way you want to live. Visiting Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect downtown neighborhood bar, as often as possible. We both know that during the holidays, you hauled your out-of-towners to Bell Tavern and they had a great time. Couldn't stop talking about Bell Tavern. But now, you can be at Bell Tavern without having to tiptoe around politics because no one at Bell Tavern has any interest in talking about politics. Leave politics outside of the bar. And your relatives.
When disaster strikes, the food supply is the first domino to fall. It can start quietly, an emergency alert, a breaking news headline. But within hours, reality sets in. People rush to grocery stores, emptying shelves of everything from bread to canned goods. Lines stretch out the door, tempers flare, and desperation takes hold. And no matter who's in charge these days, you simply can't rely on the government to bail you out. That's why having an emergency food supply on hand is the right move for you and your family. Right now, you can get $50 off a 4-week emergency food kit at mypatriotsupply.com. They're an American company trusted by millions, offering 2,000 calories per day with essential vitamins and minerals to keep you strong during a crisis. This food will be there for you when you need it, since it lasts up to 25 years and can ship out to you next day. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com now to get $50 off your 4-week emergency food kit. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
The Family Leisure floor model sales happening right now through the end of January. Family Leisure has got to get rid of all the 2024 inventory because all the new 2025 items are starting to arrive. All floor models are up to 50% off. You want a cold plunge tub? They start at $49.99. Go the other route with a hot tub. Get $3,000 off with free steps and chemicals. Family Leisure has pool tables, arcades, ping pong, air hockey, even those sport tables from 20 to 60% off. Want beers in? Family Leisure has theaters sold up to 75% off. Plus, now's the time to start thinking about pool seats. You can buy it now, get on the installation schedule, and be ready before everyone else. Special financing is also available. Hey, if you want to get free delivery on any of these items, you just tell the phone staff at Family Leisure that you are this commercial. It's the floor model sale. Now, through the end of January, Family Leisure, 100 I-40, family and fun come together.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that the Grizzlies will tip off against the Pelicans in about an hour, but they will be without Ja Morant and Santi Aldama. Taylor Jenkins, when meeting with reporters earlier in this hour, said that Ja Morant and Santi Aldama will both will definitely miss tonight's game.
Bruce said that 2 hours ago.
He did.
It's his business to know who's playing.
It is his business to know who's in and who's out, and he definitely got that one right. So it will be no Ja, it will be no Santi tonight against the Pelicans. What we know on that side from New Orleans, it will be no Zion and no Brandon Ingram. So we'll see what the Grizzlies can do without certainly their star player and a guy that's given them really good minutes off the bench this year.
Well, Memphis had 20 turnovers last night, much talked about today, but I like that Jason Munns, when I said they won't win again this year doing that, he said, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Because they've had some of those
numbers, yeah.
Yeah, and they did create 22 last night. They about can't play worse and win than last night. Kobe Rogers and Moussa Cisse, they haven't done much since the Ole Miss win. Maybe Sunday will be like that Ole Miss game when everybody was expecting dread, and they played, I think, their best game of the year.
Yeah, I certainly hope so, because you're right. Last night was not a good game, and I'm with you. I don't think if they have another game like that, it's going to be hard to beat UAB on Sunday. What I could have done without, it's got to be this news coming out. I don't know if you've seen this, Brett, but some people out there reporting that other schools are offering freshman receiver Jeremiah Smith $4.5 million.
I hope it's Ole Miss.
The transfer portal. That's the thing. I mean, if you got that money to throw around, you certainly hope it's your team because he could be a difference maker. He's already a difference maker. As a freshman, what he was able to do for the national championship team, he would be a force.
Who do you think it is?
He goes.
Miami's throwing around a lot of money.
It's got to be Miami. USC. I saw something earlier that had, I don't know.
What if it's big old mean Michigan?
Oh, man, wouldn't that be something?
That's playing dirty.
If I'm
then.
Michigan, that's exactly what I'm doing.
All their money went to Bryce Underwood,
That's
though,
true.
didn't it?
Yeah, I forgot about that. But there was something that I saw earlier, and it was like, what's your predictions for where Jeremiah Smith goes? And it had 4 or 5 teams, and then it said other. So I don't know where they got those teams, if those were just, here it is. Where should Jeremiah Smith transfer? Miami, Iowa, Florida State, or Michigan, or other?
Iowa,
yeah, I don't know.
The forward pass is illegal at Iowa.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know why. Iowa has guys transferring from their school to go play at East Tennessee State University, so I don't know about that.
Wasn't talked about a lot today. I didn't want to make a big federal case out of it, but this is what I could have done without. We talked about the turnovers last night. The effort.
Yeah.
And that's easy to say and hard to prove, I know, for any guy on the radio to do that. But that was not a great effort.
What?
That can improve.
Certainly
and it better.
can improve. Yeah, and I think you've seen that in a lot of games throughout conference. I know I've seen clips on...
And one person's bad effort is another one's kind of checked out against this sorry league.
Sure.
But that's not the case Sunday.
No. You'll have to bring it on Sunday because we know, and we've talked about it, Andy Kennedy's going to want to come in here and dominate. And so
I just want him to behave and make it 40 minutes.
And that's his goal for Sunday is to just make it 40 minutes. So we'll see.
He used to love coming to Memphis to Grizzlies playoff games.
Really?
He was towel waving and right in the middle of the crowd.
Good for him.
He's a basketball guy.
Of course.
He was a great high school player a long time ago in Mississippi.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Where are you beaming?
Beam me to FedEx Forum all weekend. Just camp out there tonight. Red Hot Grizzlies versus New Orleans. No Zion, of course. He's only played in 194 games as a pro in his 6th year. What a disaster he's been. And only played in 10 games this year. He's made $80 million. But hadn't played a lot.
No, he's not been in there a lot at all, but hate that it's another game. I mean, we've kind of been waiting since both Ja and Zion got drafted of that matchup between Ja and Zion. Yeah, easily. But, there just haven't been enough times that those two guys have been out there and been able to play. Beat me to really just the college basketball slate tomorrow. When you look at some of these matchups that we're going to get in the top 25 tomorrow, you've got Michigan State, a team that hasn't lost since losing to Memphis. They're on the road against Rutgers, and that Rutgers team that's led by their 2 freshmen. You've got Ole Miss on the road against number 22 Missouri. Houston, number 7 Houston on the road against number 12 Kansas. Tennessee on the road against Auburn. LSU on the road against Alabama. It should be a really good day of college hoops tomorrow.
It should be a great game. Only 3 NBA games tonight. One of those in downtown Memphis. And tomorrow night the Grizzlies will be back at home. Tigers Sunday against UAB. Championship games this weekend. If anybody sneezes on on Patrick Mahomes, I'm sure they'll get kicked out of the game.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, how much does he have to run? And when he runs, he's going to be running at Chris Jones.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's what we talked about last week when Alan Bell came on here and gave us a rushing attempts prop for Josh Allen. We're going, wow, that's a big number for Josh Allen, but that's kind of what he does. He gets out there and
when we get here Monday, Super Bowl 59, all set.
That's crazy. That's wild. But yeah, I'm excited.
The big
for
game.
The big game. I'm excited for it. Both those games are going to be a ton of fun, but certainly Chiefs and Bills, definitely the one I'm the most excited for. And you talked about it. 5 games in 5 days at FedEx Forum. Tigers and Grizzlies, opportunity to have a 5-0 week at FedEx Forum. So we'll see if they can continue that tonight against New Orleans. Well, that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you again Monday afternoon.